Live on YouTube, Chair.
Okay, all right. Everybody's ready. Just let Miss Councillor King know that if I've started an application, she'll have to stay in the waiting room until that's finished. Okay. Did you get that, Ed?
I did, Chair, yes.
Okay. Right. Then. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Planning Committee meeting. Before we go on to the main item of the agenda, I have to repeat myself as I do every month about the matter of recording of virtual planning committee meetings. The public have a right to record this meeting by filming or other means whilst it is open to the public. If members pass a resolution to exclude the public from part of the meeting, then the right to record will not apply to that part of the meeting. For that reason, if a resolution is passed to exclude the public, then for that part of the meeting to which the public do not have access, the live streaming of this meeting will be switched off and resumed if the meeting again becomes open to the public. So that's that. And as I said, committee, members and members of the public, good evening. I am Councillor Brian Oldham. I am the chairman of the Northampton Borough Council Planning Committee. Before we go into the main items of the agenda, Ed, would you like to read out who's taking part and who they are at the meeting? Officers and members alike, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Members for the meeting are yourself, Councillor Oldham. We also have Councillors Birch, Golby, Russell, Bockwood, McCutcheon, Brian Markham and Kilby Shaw. And then officers attending the meeting today are Peter Bagley, Rita Bovey, Nikki Scaife, Hannah Weston and Teresa Boyd.
Thank you very much. Right, going on to the first item on the agenda, Ed, apologies, please. Just for a matter of the record, read them out.
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Carley and Mary Markham. Councillor Lane will be arriving a little bit later, and then Councillors Russell, King and Birch will be leaving the meeting early. Okay,
and has Councillor King arrived?
She has.
Here. Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, committee. Thanks for that, Ed. Item 2 on the agenda, the minutes. I take it we've, well, have you all read them? We're all happy for me to sign them off as a true record? Agreed? All hands? Yeah. Is that okay, Ed? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, so we accept that. Right. Item 3, deputations and public addresses. Well, we have 20 speakers listed. A couple of the speakers, well, are listed on more than one item, so there's not really 20 speakers, but there will be 20 speaking slots allowed for the agenda tonight. On item 4, declarations of interest and predetermination committee. Councillor Bockwood, yeah. You're on mute, Alan. You're on mute.
Apologies for that. Declaring a personal and disclosable pecuniary interest in items 12A and 12B as a board member of Northampton Partnership Homes, and I'll be leaving the meeting for those items.
Thank you very much. Councillor Birch and then Councillor Russell, please. Councillor Jane, yeah.
I'd like to declare a predetermination on item 10F, 14 Stanhope Road. I will speak as the ward councillor and then leave the meeting.
Thank you very much. Councillor Russell. Catherine, yeah.
Thank you. I would like to declare predetermination on application 10F, 14 Stanhope Road, as I've already lodged my views, and I'll leave for the I'll leave the meeting when it's discussed.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Thanks for that. So we go to item 5, matters of urgency. Well, there are none. And so we go straight to item 6, which is the list of current appeals and inquiries. Rita, this is your report. Would you like to report it, please?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to turn to page 7 of the agenda, you can see the list of appeals. We have received 5 decisions since last committee. 3 of them have been dismissed and 2 allowed. All the 5 applications were previously determined under officers' delegated powers. So I just briefly go through them. The first one, in relation to a change of use of a car repair shop to a martial arts studio at number 69 Bunting Road. This appeal has been dismissed by the inspector. His comment was that the change of use will lead to loss of employment land, and the appellant have not submitted persuasive evidence to suggest that the use would gain significant local benefits to the area. And also the use will also bring harm to highway safety because there's not enough parking. So the appeal has been dismissed. The second one is 25 Beachwood Road. This is a householder extension for single-story extension, dormer and detached garage. At the time, officers concerned regarding the length of the extension because it was to be 8.4 meters long. However, previously, officer did approve another application for a 7.25 meters long extension. So the but the application was refused on the citing the scale of development. But the inspector disagreed with the council and considered that since we have already approved a 7.25 meters extension, so the another meter or so probably wouldn't make that much difference in terms of impact. So that appeal was allowed. The third one, in relation to 24 Clare Street, this is for a change of use of a dwelling house to 2 flats. Unfortunately, the ground floor flat's living room has no windows. It has to use a borrowed light well from upstairs. So we refused the application on the grounds of lack of a satisfactory living condition for residents, and the inspector agreed with the council and considered that the development would create a very oppressive environment for future occupants. So that was dismissed. The fourth one, in relation to 91 Broadway, this was a retrospective application, meant that part of the extension, single-story side extension, was almost completed. However, because of the siting and size of the extension, the council considered that that wasn't really in keeping with the dwelling and also the area. Yes, the inspector agreed with the council as it considered that big extension looks like, I quote, it resembles a large shoebox and will be harmful to appearance of the street scene. So that was dismissed. So currently, this is subject to enforcement action. It is enhanced with our planning enforcement team on that one. And finally, this is St. James Mill Road. This is to do with a digital display advertisement in front of one of the units, but it's quite substantial. It's 10 meters wide and 7.72 meters high, and with intermittent images. At the time, Highways Authority objected to that because there were concerns regarding the lighting will affect highway safety. However, the inspector disagreed with that and considered that the effort would not distract the attention of road user, and the appeal was therefore allowed. So altogether, 5 decisions. All the detail will be on the council's website. So I'm quite happy to answer any question if members have any. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rita. With that, members, anyone have any questions to ask of Rita on that presentation? No? No one's indicating?
No one's indicating,
Chair.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Right, we then now come on to item 7A, which is I believe, your report, Nikki, which is for land of south of Rotee Road and west of Windingbrook Lane. Request for variations to S106 agreement dated 22nd December 2015. As I say, Nikki, I believe this is your report. Would you present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. So just to draw members' attention, so this is the application site. It relates to a sustainable urban extension to the south of Collingtree for up to 1,000 dwellings, and that was granted at appeal some time ago, with the section 106 being signed and agreed in December 2015. So this is just the approved master plan for the site. As is fairly standard in most 106s, they include what we call a mortgagee exclusion clause, mortgagee in possession clause, and that provides for, it's in relation to the affordable housing provision, and they provide for circumstances where a registered provider defaults on a loan payment and the mortgagee takes control of the registered provider's interest in the affordable housing units. These clauses allow for another registered provider to step in, or for the council to purchase the affordable housings within a specified time frame and under a prescribed procedure. Such clauses also allow, apologies, there's somebody slipping in. The wording of the mortgagee clause affects the level of funding that a registered provider is able to secure against the affordable housing units to fund the provision of additional affordable housing. The clauses are currently worded for existing use value for social housing, whereas a greater level of funding and security can be achieved if reference is made to market value subject to tenancies, as is proposed in this case. So therefore, we had a similar application come to committee fairly recently with a similar proposal to change this clause, and it's really to enable the registered provider to obtain maximum value and reinvest in other affordable housing schemes on site. So in terms of the changes to that clause, officer opinion is that it's reasonable, and it's recommended that we go ahead with that change subject to members' approval. In addition to that change to the mortgagee clause, the 106 also currently has obligations in relation to contributions to the Northampton Growth Management Scheme, so the A45, and also this includes alterations to the Wootton Interchange junction and also the M1 at junction 15, and also for contributions towards secondary school transport. The way the section 106 is worded is that should SIL come in before a decision is issued, then the application should be subject to SIL. In this instance, the 106 was signed and completed as part of the inquiry before the decision was issued. The decision was issued subsequently after the council adopted SIL. So henceforth, although the wording in the 106 includes NGMS and education contributions, they're now actually SIL liable. So the report is essentially intending to amend the section 106 to allow the NGMS contribution and secondary contribution to be accounted for as a SIL payment rather than a section 106 payment. As I say, it's something that's worded in the 106, and an officer recommendation is to approve the amendments to the wording, subject in consultation with the Borough Secretary and Monitoring Officer and the Director of Planning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nikki. Committee, does anybody got any, there's no speakers on this particular item. Anybody got any questions to ask of Nikki, please? Councillor Markham, Brian? Yeah.
I did, excuse me, Chair, I did electronically try to raise my hand. Just ask Nikki, the mortgagee change, Nikki mentioned registered provider several times when she explaining that. She also mentioned the changes is rather than is to do with the market value, and mentioned affordable housing, which we all know the government in particular is keen to see sort of starter homes and to help to buy schemes as affordable housing. Am I right in thinking that by the fact that the reference is made to the registered provider, what we're talking about here is, in fact, we're not talking about a change from affordable homes to rent, but changing it some way that they will be other things that are deemed to be affordable, but in fact are not. I hope she understands that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't actually affect that clause in the 106. Apologies, I haven't got that specific clause, but from memory, I think with Collingtree, it's possibly 70% affordable rent and then 30% shared ownership. I may stand to be corrected on that, but this isn't actually seeking to amend the way that element and the type of affordable housing that is provided on site. It, as I say, it purely relates to the funding exercise in terms of the registered provider. So it doesn't affect the amount of affordable housing that was agreed and secured in the 106 or the type that was agreed in the 106. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Anyone else got anything to add, to raise? No?
Nobody indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, and thanks for that, Nikki. So the recommendation is that we agree to the Section 106 agreement, dated as it was 12th of December 2015. Do I have somebody that would propose that? Councillor Golby, Matt, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Botwood, Alan, thank you very much. All those in favour will accept the officer's recommendation? Show of hands, please.
It's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much, Rita. Thank you. So that's approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Nikki. Right, committee, we've got no items 8 and 9, nothing to discuss on that. So we can go straight into the items for determination, which the first one is item 10A, which is B&C 102A Abington Street, a mixed-use development, etc., involving a rear side rooftop extension for 2 new offices and 5 self-contained residential flats, use class C3. Nikki, I think you're still on stage. This is your report. Would you like to present this one, please? This is item 10A, committee, on page 15. Sorry, Nikki.
Thank you, Chair. So just draw members' attention to the addendum. We've had further comments from Environmental Health raising some concerns about the provision of refuse storage on the first floor for both the office and proposed residential. The agent is in discussion with private waste collectors in respect of how that waste could be collected from first floor level, and it is feasible. So discussions are ongoing with the agent and Environmental Health to agree an appropriate waste management strategy, and the details of that can be approved by condition 5. So it's just an amendment to condition 5 to be more specific about agreeing the details of a waste management strategy. So this is the application site. It's within the town centre, Abington Street. Apologies, my mouse is a little bit slow. Abington Street there, and York Road to the east, with access to the site from York Road. The site is adjacent to St Giles Conservation Area, which is situated. You've got the churchyard and Grade 1 listed St Giles Church to the south, and then the conservation area just extends up either side from there. The surrounding land uses are a mix of retail and residential within the area. So this is just a view from the street. The property concerned is on the left-hand side. It's currently got retail at ground floor level and office use above. The proposal is to extend to the rear of the site, which will partially be visible in that area there. So this gives you an aerial view of the site. The plans that I'll show you in a minute show the extension is proposed on this existing two-storey flat roof element to the rear of the building. Parking areas, as you can see here, there's existing 4 formal parking areas to the rear of the site and refuse storage areas to the rear as well. There was a similar application approved under the delegated powers previously in 2019, but this was, they're unable to implement that due to some survey errors with the plan, so hence this current application has been submitted. In respect of, just to note, adjacent residential developments, this is to the side here, that's 104 Abington Street, which has consent which has been carried out to convert to 6 apartments. And there's reference in the report to a courtyard and restaurant, which is just in this area here. There's also another consent to the other side of the site, just above Burger King at 98 to 100 Abington Street for 13 apartments. That's not yet been implemented. Age Concern building is situated to the south, and as I say, I've referred to the existing parking spaces. So this is just photos of the rear of the site here. The extension would go above this 2-storey flat roof element there. And again, this shows the property to the side. That's 104 Abington Street. Another view set further back with conservation area properties to the side there. And that just shows you the Burger King site with development proposed above there. So this is in terms of the site layout. The actual ground floor layout itself doesn't change. As I say, access is from Abington Street, and that's a shared access with the William and Patricia Benton Centre, Age Concern Centre to the south. Refuse storage for the existing retail use on the ground floor would remain to the rear of the site, and the existing parking spaces would remain as well. So this is the existing basement that would remain unchanged and in use for the retail element. And again, the ground floor would remain as existing, retaining the existing retail use. Access to the flat and the upper floor offices would be from Abington Street only. And that's the staircase access there. So this is the existing first floor layout, showing the flat roof that you could see, and then offices to the front. So the proposal would essentially punch through that first floor office element to provide 2 offices on the first floor. And then that's the bin storage area at first floor level that I said, well, the details of which will be agreed by condition. And then a 1-bedroom flat with a terraced area to the rear. Second floor would comprise of a 1-bedroom flat and a 2-bedroom flat, again with terraced area to the rear. And this has been set in slightly, as you can see here, to avoid impact on the windows of the neighbouring flat at number 104. So that just shows you the proximity of the nearest windows. And a more distant view, so the extension would be essentially above that flat roof extension here, extending out and then cutting in adjacent to that neighbouring property. Third floor, again, cut in, and that's for a 1-bedroom, two 1-bedroom flats on the third floor. So this is the elevations as existing. And elevations as proposed. So the front elevation remains unaltered. This is the elevation from the side, so you can see the staggered effect of the flats as they increase in height. Rear view in that bottom left hand corner with the rear terraces. So retail at the ground floor, and then that would be a mix of office and residential at first floor. And then, as I say, the front elevation would remain unchanged. That's just a section through. So in respect of impact on the immediate neighbouring properties, as I say, in respect to this property here, the extension would step in, so it would comply with a 45-degree rule in terms of impact on that neighbouring flat window. There's also roof lights which serve that property there. In respect to the development at Burger King, these nearest adjacent windows, they serve a stairwell. And then that elevation there would remain blank under the development proposed. So there'd be no unacceptable impact on that proposed development there. And as I say, the development staggers in on this flat roof and steps in gradually as it increases in height. Environmental Health have requested a condition in relation to noise from mitigate noise from surrounding commercial uses. So condition 7 requires the submission of details for that. Highways have raised an objection about the use of that access that I showed you on the plan, because it is shared with Age Concern, and they've raised concerns about dual use for both commercial and residential. In effect, the parking arrangement doesn't change, and if effectively there's very little, if any, parking for the proposed residential. As I say, access to the site is from the front of the property in any event. The view is that it's in a sustainable location with access to all the shopping facilities and public transport. And in this instance, effectively nil parking provision is considered acceptable. So in respect to design, the conservation area, conservation officer raises no objection in respect of the impact on the conservation area or the adjacent listed buildings. There's not considered to be any unacceptable adverse impact on adjacent amenity, and therefore, subject to conditions, officer recommendation is for approval. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Before I start, we do have a speaker on this application, but before I do start to call speakers on any of the applications, I ought to remind the speakers that they all have 3 minutes to speak. No more, no less. If it takes you up to 3 minutes, everyone has 3 minutes, and you will be timed for that 3 minutes by a member of the Democratic Service, which will be Mr. Bostock, will be timing you. So I just want you to be aware of that. You each have 3 minutes to speak. And in this particular case, I call upon the first speaker for the evening on this application, Mr. Indy Shokar, please. Mr. Shokar, are you available?
Yes, Brian, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. It's a little bit faint, but I can hear you. But as I've just said, you have 3 minutes. And if you just like to identify yourself and in what capacity you speak, please.
Yeah, I'll come closer to the microphone. Thank you, Brian. So I'm Indy Shokar. I'm the planning consultant acting on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. So the application in front of you is basically a second version of an already committed scheme from last year. That scheme required a small alteration on the approved plans. A pre-app was held with the Borough Council, and we were requested to submit a revised full planning application, which we've done. The applicant has now worked in partnership with planning officers to develop a scheme that is acceptable in principle and detailed design. As noted in the Officers Committee report in front of us, this proposal represents an appropriate mixed-use scheme. It's within a sustainable town centre setting, and the proposal is deemed to satisfy all relevant planning policy. We know that a neighbour has objected to the scheme. The grounds of that objection have been considered very carefully, and they've all been addressed in the committee report. The plans are based on accurate topographical survey information, and the heights are determined by structural engineers by construction purposes. It should be noted that the same neighbour that has objected to the proposal has also expressed a desire to purchase the site from the applicant for their own development proposals. In short, a mixed-use scheme has already been approved on site. This proposal is an amended and better version of that approved scheme. We see no reasons why that planning permission should be refused. The applicant will no doubt pursue a planning appeal if that's necessary. We think that the situation can be avoided because of the planning history on site and the merits of the proposal in front of us, which officers have deemed to be acceptable. We hope that you will support the scheme. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Shoker. Thank you very much. If you just remain with us in case any of the committee have got any questions to ask of you. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Mr. Shoker, please? No?
No indications, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shoker. Thank you, Ed. Right, committee, any questions to ask of Nikki, please, on her presentation of her report? Councillor Golby, Matt, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I wondered if Nikki's got a visual of that entrance off of York Road, which the Highway Authority reference in their objection.
Sorry, Councillor Golby, I don't think I've got a visual of the access. I've just probably got the plan if I go back to yeah, I mean essentially it comes round, I can get my pointer to work. It comes round the side of this building here, but if I just go back to the yeah, so the access point is here, and it comes sort of through the side of a building. It's quite an, as I say, convoluted access route, but it is shared with, the concern of the Highway Authority is the fact that it's shared with this property here, although it is currently used, as I say, for parking by the existing offices and retail use at the premises.
All right, Matt, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Botwood, Alan, I think you had a question, I believe.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Looking at it and thinking about it, I'm probably going to get told it's not a planning issue. I'm just a little bit concerned with the offices and the flats, how people with a very small access upstairs are going to get their belongings in. Because I don't think there was any lift on any of the plans that I saw, or no indication in the plan that there is a lift. But I suspect, as I said, that that's not really a material planning issue.
Yeah, if I can respond, Chair. No, Councillor Botwood, you're correct. There isn't a flat. It isn't a planning consideration as to how people get their furniture in and out of the flat. We do look at kind of reasonable standards of spaces and sizes for the internal layouts of flats themselves, but not necessarily in terms of staircases and the ability for people to get furniture in and out. Okay,
Councillor Russell, Catherine, yeah, see you've got your hand up to want to ask Nikki a question.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I would like to know what steps will be taken to ensure that residents, either people who are renting properties or who've bought properties, have a very clear understanding about the lack of parking and the way in which, or the care that they need to take to ensure that they aren't blocking any part of this very convoluted drive and access.
Thank you. Nikki, yep.
Essentially, this, as I said, it is a nil parking development. That the parking arrangements are as existing. Access to the flats is from Abington Street, so the likelihood of it would be very readily apparent what the parking situation is for these flats, which is effectively there is no parking provision. It would be a very convoluted route because there's no rear access to the flats or those offices from those parking areas. So it'd be a very convoluted route for residents to park there and then have to walk all the way round from York Road to the site in any event. So yeah, it is an existing parking situation. And the likelihood that is that people that occupy those flats wouldn't have a car or would have to choose to park elsewhere.
Councillor Markham, Brian.
Yes, Chair. I accept all Nikki said. I thought myself, in essence, people are unlikely to park a vehicle in any way in that access road because it's a long way round to get to the front door if you do. But I wondered, and be very limited because the parking for the business use on the ground floor and so on. However, would it be possible asking to condition that, you know, whether they're going to be tenanted, you know, a condition on the application here that, you know, it is clear that this does not include parking for any residents of the new business uses, I understand, and the flats.
Nikki, yep.
That would really come down to the management of the flats, which would be something that would be difficult for us to control. As I've said, it is a very convoluted route to the flats. Those parking spaces are already used by employees, as I understand it, of the existing retail unit. So there would be no provision for parking in any event. It would be something that would be difficult for us to control by planning condition.
Anyone else got any? Councillor McCutcheon, Arthur, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. I understand that there's living accommodation going up to the 5th story. What is the provision? Is there any required for fire escapes?
Nikki?
That would be subject to building regulations, assessment and approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Anna, Councillor King, yeah.
Oh, Councillor McCutcheon has just taken part of my question. I just wanted to raise under 7.3, that was the Northamptonshire police comments, and we skimmed past those when we have the presentation. It does say there's concerns about proximity of the cycle parking, so I presume that's also in the rear car park, and people would have to walk all the way around. And then that was going to lead to as well about fire routes and fire escapes.
Nikki?
Yeah, you're quite correct. In lieu of parking provision, we often seek for cycle parking. In this instance, it has been provided to the rear of the building, which is in no way an ideal area to provide it because of this convoluted access. However, there are no alternative places within the site to provide it. So effectively, I guess some is better than none, although it's I fully appreciate that's not very convenient for use. And just reference to condition 6, which just to highlight, that provides for details of all security measures that we would look to be incorporated into development to provide secure access from the street, and also internally in relation to the offices and flats and that relationship.
Okay, right. Thank you, Nikki. Well, if there's no Councillor Birch, Jane, sorry, you've got a question. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Nikki, could you just clarify where the entrance to the William Benton Centre is? And does it actually conflict with the increased traffic that will be generated by the offices and the flats?
Nikki, yeah.
Yeah, if I just go back to the plan again. I can't from memory remember where the front of the building. I think the front of the building for the front access is there for the Benton Centre. I mean, in terms of increased vehicular activity, if effectively there would be none, that the parking provision on site is as existing, so that there would be no provision for any more vehicles to access the site.
Okay. Right, if there's no one else got any questions, I don't believe there is any. Is it Ed? I can't see any. Nobody's raising one.
Nobody else indicating.
No. Pardon?
Nobody else is indicating to speak.
Nobody else is indicating to speak. Okay, thank you very much. So now we go on to comments committee. Any comments, please? Councillor Golby, Matt?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think there are a couple of concerns about this application that's highlighted throughout the report, but you've got to balance it up with the positives that it brings. And on balance, I'm happy to support it. I think you've got to think of the benefit of and the challenges around the town centre and the use of the town centre. And I think residential living is going to become a way of addressing a lot of the challenges and bringing people back into town as you know, to actually live. And so I'm happy to support this application, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone else got any comments, please?
Councillor King.
Councillor King, Anna?
Thank you. Yeah, kind of to echo what Matt's just said. So Councillor Hadland's this afternoon been discussing about the mixture of retail and residential is the way forward for town centre. It's in a very convenient place. Not very happy about the cycle parking. Obviously, it's on the route to many different bus routes in the town centre, and lots of people work in the town centre as well. So I'm happy to support it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else got any comments, please, before I go to asking to the vote?
Councillor McCutcheon is indicating to speak.
Councillor McCutcheon, Arthur, thank you. Arthur, you're still on mute, Arthur. Arthur, you're still on mute.
How's that?
I can hear you now, yes.
Right, thank you. Historically speaking, this has been a mixed-use site right from the beginning of the rebuild on that particular site. And I think the idea of having such a mixture in our town centre is good. I am very concerned that there should be proper provision for fire escapes, but as you said, but as Nikki said, that's got to go to building regs, but I shall be keeping an eye on that. 5 stories up is very high to not to have proper fire escape provision. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Right, anyone else got anything to add on comments? No?
Nobody else is indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Right, well then it falls on me to write committee to say, do I have a proposal that we accept the officer's recommendation for approval on this application, please? Do I have a proposal, please? Do I have one?
Councillor Markham and Councillor McCutcheon have both got their hands up.
So Councillor Bryan, I'll take it you as a proposer, and Arthur, I'll take you as a seconder. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so all those in favour that we accept the officer's recommendation, please?
That's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, committee. Right, we now come on then to the next item on the agenda, which is on page 27, item 10B, which is a single-storey front extension and part 2-storey stroke part single-storey rear extension with internal alterations. Rita, I believe this is your report. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. If you can bear with me a
10
couple of minutes. Yeah, thank you.
This is at 10 Reedham Close Committee, by the way.
Just got the pointer up. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Rita.
That's it. Is it working, the pointer? Yeah, thank you. Yes, application for a single story extension and part 2-story and part single story for this number 10 Reedham Close. As you can see, this is the application site with the red line. It is a semi-detached property. Number 12 over there has got a rear single story extension. Number 8, which is set back from the front. So there's like 2 pairs in that position, another 2 pair and 2 pairs there. If you also notice, number 16 has a front extension for that one, and number 24 as well. Just an area photograph, as you can see the sighting and the green area to the left. Just a street view for you. This is in fact the application site. You can see number 8 set back from the front and number 12 there. You can see number 16 have a front extension to the front. Just show you this is number 16, which has a front extension over there. Just a close-up for application site to the left of number 10 and number 8 to there. You can see the landing windows there, front door and the front lounge window on that side. This is a rear view of the application site, so it's adjoining to number 12 on the other side, which I mentioned before. There is currently a single-story pitch roof extension in that position and boundary fencing. Please note the window openings for the extension. This is the other side, as you can see, number 8, whereby they have a window there. Behind the bush, they also see a door over there. Just a further view, you can see there in the setting. Right, the proposal is 3 elements altogether. So this is the application site. This is existing floor plan, 3-bedroom property. So the first part of the extension is to have a front extension to extend the lounge and the porch. The projection is 2 meters. And the height, as you can see on the side elevation, up to 3.5 meters to the highest point to the front. The second part of the extension includes a 5 meters projection, single-story ground floor extension for the lounge. There are also utilities there. And above, there is a 2-story extension which projects 3.1 meters above there. During the course of the application, the extension has been reduced in projection. The original submission was for a 6 meters long extension, but subsequently, due to the objections received, that has been reduced down to 5 meters. One thing to note is you can see the 45-degree line. You can see it for the ground floor. So that is from the midpoint of this window. So that we consider that past the 45-degree rule there. In terms of first floor extension, we took it in accordance with our residential design guide, SPD. We took it from the quarter point of upstairs extension, and that also cleared the 2-story extension from that point. However, in terms of other alteration, you can see there's an existing landing window there, which will be on the first floor will be in situ, but there will be an additional window to be inserted for the upstairs bathroom, which will be obscurely glazed in that position. For the ground floor, the side door will be removed and replaced with 2 smaller windows. One will be for the utility and one for the downstairs toilet as well. So in terms of the design, I did show you before, members, that the staggered position of the dwellings. So although this is a monopitch roof to the front, but there is other extension that has been built, for example, number 16. So officers do not consider that the monopitch extension will be out of keeping with the property, and a condition has been imposed to seek appropriate materials for the front extension. In terms of the back, the 2-story extension has got a pitch roof which is lower than the ridge line. It is at the back with a flat roof and a lantern in that position. Obviously consider that that will not impact on street scene for this part of the proposal. In terms of the impact on neighbours, in terms of number 8, because that property does set back from the front lines is in that position here. I did show you before, they have a front door and a window. In terms of the 45-degree line, in fact, this part of the extension did impinge on the 45-degree line by 1 meter. However, I better show you, go back to the front extension. However, there's already a separation distance, and this window is some distance from the extension, although there will be, as I said, a meter impinge on the 45-degree line, but officer considered that that impact would not be so severe that warrant a refusal of the application. As you can see, there's landing window in that position, and the 2-story extension will be built at the back. Just go back to the sideline. Yeah, so there will be a 5-meter projection, or single-story and 2-story there. So officer consider that yes, the extension will be within 2 meters of this window. There will be some impact in terms of lighting. However, because that is not a habitable room, and officer consider that notwithstanding the impact, you probably not consider that the impact will be so detrimental, again, to warrant a refusal of the application. In terms of number 12, I'll go back to the back. In terms of the extension, so the extension will be projected 2 meters further than the next door neighbor's extension. As I indicated earlier, both score in terms of 45-degree line, that both is okay for the 2-story extension and the single-story extension. So overall, officer consider that the impact is acceptable in this instant. I'll go back to the plant. So one thing is, I believe, let me just show you in terms of the council's, this is the residential design guide that we have adopted. It clearly stated that for single-story extension, it is from the midpoint of the window where we take the 45-degree, and in terms of 2-story extension is from the quarter point of windows. So again, that just show members that we have adhered to our own supplementary documents. I believe that Mrs. Rendell from next door, I think there's a slight mix-up whether she's supposed to speak. I believe that she's not at the meeting, unless Ed can correct me. I understand that she did send in a statement before for her objection, so I will briefly summarize her point. In her statement, she's mentioned that both number 16 and 24, which I mentioned before, have front extension, but both of them are located on the left-hand side of the properties. That's why it will not affect the neighbor in terms of lights. However, the objector considered that number 10, the extension, is because it's on the right-hand side. That's why it's impinged on the 45° and will affect the light for number 8. And also her comment is that the design of the front extension will spoil the look of the close and also affect light for neighbors. Chairs, all in all the comments included in the report. I will stop here for now, and the recommendation from officer is for approval of the application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rita. Right, we have speakers on this application. I'll call the first one. Mr. Andrew Gray, please. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, if you just identify yourself, Mr. Gray, and in what capacity you speak, please.
My name's Andrew Gray. I'm a Chartered Town Planner. I speak on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Pell, who live at number 12, which is the property directly adjoining this proposal.
Okay, thank you. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I would like to make members aware that the application does still break the 45° rule in a number of instances. The purpose of the 45° line test is to indicate whether a right of light assessment is required or not. Where an extension protrudes beyond a 45° line, then a formal light assessment should be undertaken by an appropriately qualified lighting professional. In the absence of such information from the applicant, the proposal should be considered by the council to be contrary to common law, the Prescription Act 1832 and the Right of Light Act 1959. The two-storey extension to the rear of the property does break a 45° line when taken from the quarter point of the nearest ground floor window and also from the first floor window at quarter point. I suggest members use a scale ruler on this position to confirm as much. The 45° rule can be taken on a vertical axis on the front elevation in respect of the impact on the bay window. This is not being considered by the case officer. We stress to members that the case officer within their report has failed to specify the overall height of the front extension, which we calculate at 3.6 metres. The applicant has failed to show the context of the bay windows on the floor plans. The officer acknowledges there is a breach of the 45° rule in paragraph 8.7 of their report. We remind members wherever there is a breach that a light assessment should be undertaken to justify there is no harm. The proposal will break the historic step and stagger of the street scene as a step forward at number 12 and then step back at number 12 before stepping forward again at number 14. The proposal is contrary to Appendix 7 of the Council's Residential Extensions and Alteration Design Guide SPD, SAVE Policies E20 and H18 and the National Plan Policy Framework, which all seek to ensure acceptable levels of amenity and high standards of design. Should members support officer recommendation to approve when the applicant has failed to provide relevant information, then my client reserves the right to seek compensation in accordance with the Right of Light Act. We have provided the committee clerk with a copy of this speech so that members can see where specific concerns lie by way of support and illustrations. We respectfully invite members to review plan permission and avoid this harmful form of development setting a future precedent. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. If you just remain with us in case the committee have got any questions to ask of you, please. Committee, does anyone have any questions to ask of Mr. Gray, please?
Councillor McCutcheon is indicating to speak.
Thank you, Tracy. Councillor McCutcheon, Arthur, a question to Mr. Gray, please.
Understood Mr. Gray to say that he calculated the height of the front extension at 3.6 metres. I thought that the officer had estimated it at 3.5 metres.
3.5 or 3.6. The point is that you can still take the 45° line assessment from the maximum height and apply it on a vertical axis. So you would then be taking the 45° angle from the highest point. We think that there's a breach and the case officer has not considered this appropriately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Anyone else to ask any questions of Mr. Gray, please? No one indicating?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I now call upon Councillor Hadland, please. Councillor Hadland, please. Are you there, Tim?
Yep, just unmuting, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, members.
If you just identify for the record, Tim,
I'm a Borough Councillor and Ward Councillor for Old Duston, in which this property falls.
Okay, thank you. You have 3 minutes, as you well aware. Yeah.
Thank you. I was approached by the owners of both the adjoining properties who object to this development, and you can see in the long list of points that have been raised. Some of them are relevant to planning, but some aren't. This is a very nice open cul-de-sac with staggered frontages. You've already heard what people have said about the front extensions to 2 of them at number 16, number 24. Number 24 is a tiny little porch which doesn't affect anybody. Number 16 is a well-designed extension which contributes to the look of the street scene and is also nestled in the staggering on the street. As has already been touched on by Mr. Gray, the front extension on this house, when it's put on, adds nothing to the look of the street and juts out a bit like a sore tooth. So it detracts from the appearance. Around this area, there are a number of single-story rear extensions. There are, as I've already said, 1 or 2 small front extensions. Nowhere is there a house that has 3 extensions all at the same time, as this one effectively does. And I think it's just too much, badly affecting the adjoining owners, as already been stated, both subjectively and I think objectively, and is the thin end of the wedge. It's the wrong extension in the wrong place and to the wrong scale. And I would ask the committee to refuse it in the hope that the applicant would come back with something that would be rather more in keeping with the surroundings and the scale of the other housing. So I would ask you to refuse this application or defer it for further consideration, Chairman.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Councillor Hadland. If you just remain with us while the committee may have some questions to ask of you. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Councillor Hadland, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Councillor Hadland, for that.
Thank you, Chair.
Right, and I call upon Mr. Shay O'Riordan, please. Mr. O'Riordan. Mr. O'Riordan here?
He doesn't appear to have joined the meeting, Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you very much. Right. Rita, before I throw any questions open to the committee to ask of you, do you want to come back on some of the points that the speakers have raised, please?
Yes, please, Chair. Just briefly, Mr. Gray mentioned about the bay window. The impact has been mentioned in paragraph 8.8 of the report for number 12. In terms of the height of the building, and Councillor Markham has quietly pointed out that, Councillor McCutcheon, the height is indicated at 8.7 of the report. In terms of light assessment, it's not normally for a household extension to require such an act of assessment, and I have shown you clearly on the council's residential design guide about what we looked at. I'm satisfied that that has been done and shown on the plan, so I have nothing further to add to that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Rita, thank you. Committee, right, it's questions to Rita, please. Councillor Birch, I see you, Councillor Russell and Councillor Golby. So Councillor Birch, Jane, yeah, if you'd like to ask questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Rita, could you show us how far the second story extension projects beyond the neighbour's property at number 12? Have you got a plan or an elevation that would show that?
You're on mute, Rita. You're muted. Okay. Rita, can you unmute yourself? Rita?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Is it okay? Yeah, yeah, that's
hear you
fine.
now,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
lovely. Sorry, you can see the plan. Let me just put up this pointer as well. Okay, so you can see Councillor Birch in here, the two-story extension is 3.1 meters from the rear extension. So this is number 12 here. So you can see the 45-degree line. So you can see at the back here. So this is a first floor window of number 12, and this is the pitch roof extension in that position. So from the back, you can see the relationship of the gable end and next door over there. So I hope that is clear. Thank you.
Rita, yeah. I'm trying to put myself in the upstairs bedroom, number 12. If I was looking out of there, to my right, would there be a blank wall?
Through your chair, not immediately, obviously, because that is set back. So you can see that set back from that window, as it were. So that is still a window length. You can see that. If I go to the extension there, so you can still have this a window, you know, sort of distance before you have the two-story extension.
Right, okay. So the two-story extension does not extend the full width of number 10?
Not at all, correct. Go back to that. So it's set back, you can see that's the window and then the two-story extension. So from the back, you can see this is the two-story extension and this is the original position of the window. And then
right, thank you very much, Rita, you've clarified that. Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously the window has been reduced in size slightly, so it's not the full width, but notwithstanding that, it is not right on the boundary line. Okay.
All right, thank you, Rita. Councillor Russell, Catherine, I think you got your hand up to ask a question. Please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Rita, I have no doubt that your measurements and distances and all the other things that have been pointed out to us as correct, but would there be anything gained by deferring this application and speaking to the parties concerned to see if a reasonable accommodation could be made concerning light?
Through you, Chair, the application has already been amended subsequent to the objections. I think the applicant have been reasonable and make a compromise in terms of the reduction of the extension projection to fit into the council's development plan policies requirements. So I can see no reason why we should defer the application. And after all, the applicant have the right to have the decision on the application within time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Golby, Matt, I believe you needed to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It was just a question on permitted development and what would be allowed under permitted development and how would the footprint compare with this application, both front and back?
Yeah. Through you, Chair, yes.
Yeah,
for the ground floor extension, for semi-detached property, they can build up to 3 meters projection without applying for planning permission. So this will be this is 5 meters. It's only 2 meters more than the neighbors. So I could imagine you can build one similar to what the neighbor has got on the ground floor. But because this is now 2 meters more. But obviously, there's another channel to apply for permission is larger home extension under prior notification, whereby people can build up to 6 meters, but then you have to consult the neighbor and see whether they got any objection. So perhaps that is not so viable because obviously neighbors are objecting to this in this instance. So thank you, Chair.
You read it, Councillor Botwood, Alan, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Rita, if we just go back to the back of the properties, number 10 and number 12. What I'd like to just look at is, I think we're saying that the extension on 12 is 3 metres already out the back of the property. Did that infringe the 45-degree light regulation?
So I will go back. It
Might be
doesn't-
easy to look. Might be easy to look at the rear elevation.
Yes, yes. Let me go up. Oh, I need to. Just a minute. Can you see the plan? Are you sharing now? Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll see whether. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Where you've got the rear window of number 10, you've got the
There.
extension on number 12. Does that comply with the 45-degree light? Because if that extension is 3 metres, I doubt whether it would.
Yeah. Through you, Chair, obviously without measuring it now, so I can only speculate, so it may not be totally correct, but from assessment, it would appear that it does impinge on to number 10, but obviously it would appear that this extension could be built under, permitted development rights. So I have not checked the record, so I could not confirm totally, but it would appear that that sort of size could be built, because you can have it up to 4 metres high and 3 metres projection without planning permission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has anyone else got any questions to ask of Rita, please, committee?
Councillor King is indicating.
Councillor King, Anna, please.
Thank you. You keep missing my hand.
I can't see all everybody on the
Can't
screen. I can't see everybody on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, just a couple of observations. So some of the objections have been around the bats, and I know Rita, it mentions at 8.10 that it would be an informative that would be put into any approval. I was under the understanding if there is bats there, then an impact survey should be done beforehand, before planning committee make any decision. And secondly, one of the rooms you mentioned that would be affected, you said it's not a habitable room anyway. What room was it that would receive the loss of light? Because if it's the bathroom, I think natural light is a highly important factor. So if you just clarify those two things.
Through you, Chair, obviously wildlife will be covered under separate legislation, but after all, it is not, you're not talking about a tree or anything, it's someone's loft. So I'm sure the owner will probably know whether there's bats in their loft or not. But after all, as I said, it is up to the owner to satisfy the legislation in terms of wildlife, so that they should adhere to that. In terms of the habitable room, we believe that that is a landing window. So when we say habitable room, it's like a bedroom, obviously. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Are there anyone else who requires to have any questions of Rita before I go on to comments, please?
Nobody else is indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Right, committee, we now go on to comments. Comments on what you've heard and the report that Rita's presented, please. Any comments?
Councillor McCutcheon indicate.
Yes, I can see you, Arthur. Okay, Councillor McCutcheon, Arthur, yeah. Have you unmuted yourself, Arthur?
Councillor McCutcheon has left the meeting. He
Left the meeting?
Possibly had connection problems.
Oh, okay. Right, anyone else got any comments on this application? Councillor Markham, Brian, yeah.
It's often said in the committee and sometimes in reports, it's mentioned, use the phrase on balance. And to me, it's a very difficult one, because I do tend to agree with Councillor Hadland, but in the previous comments from the committee, there's all been mention of the the rear extensions, and I think those have been covered. The fact that the two-storey part is not across the whole of the back and so on. But there's very little discussion on the front extension, and it's very difficult. I think this has a detrimental effect on the street scene, going by the front extension. But I'm just at loss. I cannot really see how we could refuse it. We may not like something, but I don't think there are enough reasons to refuse. On point of view of light, I take the point that the window next door that's most affected is a landing window, and there is a still, I think, 2 metre gap, was it, between the buildings anyway, so light is going to come in through there. I don't particularly like it, but I think we will probably have to accept it. I think because the officers have worked with the applicant to make it more acceptable probably than it was.
Thank you, Councillor Markham. Brian, anyone else got any comments, please? No?
Nobody else is indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Right, so the officer's recommendation has been well debated, and the speakers have covered what they need to speak, I say. The officer's recommendation is we approve this application. We've heard all on both sides. Do I have a proposal that we accept the officer's recommendation for approval, please? Councillor Botwood, Alan, yeah. Do I have a seconder, please?
Councillor Kilby-Shaw.
Councillor Kilby-Shaw. So thank you, Sam. All those in favour that we accept the officer's recommendation, please? Show of hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many? How many, please?
We counted 6 hands, Chair.
No, sorry, Ed, it's 8 because Councillor McCutcheon is not here. I think it's unanimous. 2, 3, 4.
Is there
5,
8?
6, 7, 8. 8, definitely, yeah.
No one against? No abstentions? So that's 8 for it. So that is approved. Thank you, committee. Thank you on that one.
Chair, I'm going to leave now to get to my other meeting.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very
Thank
much. Thank you. So on the balance, Ed, are you there, Ed?
I'm still here, Chair, yes.
How many committee members do we have present before I start the next application?
7.
There are seven members.
So Councillor Lane's not joined us yet?
Not yet, Chair, no.
So there's 7 at the moment. Okay, thank you. If Councillor McCutcheon does come back when we start this, he'll have to go into the waiting room, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, right. We're now on to item 10C, committee, which is at 110 Lutterworth Road, which is a change of use from a dwelling house to a house in multiple occupation for 4 occupants, and it's in the Abington ward. I believe, Rita, this is your report again. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. You can bear with me. Just get the pointer up. Yeah. Okay, so just move on. Yeah. The next application on page 35, change of use from dwelling to a 4-bed high mold. To show you, this is the application site. This is Terrace Street. So more or less identical properties along the street. And to the top of that is Wellingborough Road, local centre. Just an aerial photograph, as you can see Wellingborough Road there on the application site. Just a front view of the property here. And this is the back, as you can see, is a 2-storey terrace property. Just to show you, so this is the existing floor plan. It has got a basement, Currently, it's got a living room, dining room and kitchen on the ground floor and 3 bedrooms above with a bathroom, very typical of a mid-terrace in the area. So for the proposal, the basement will remain as a storeroom. In terms of the layout for the ground floor, you can see the front, there will be 1 bedroom there, followed by a living area, through lounge to the kitchen and dining area. There will be a WC at the back and rear door to the garden. For the first floor, there will be 3 bedrooms, there 2, 3 and 4, and there will be a bathroom with a toilet and sink and bath and shower probably over the bath for that. Just the proposed elevation, there's no change in there. Just a rear view of the rear of the house. I can see next door in terms of their windows, and just another view of the window. So in terms of the concentration, it works out to be 5.2% within a 50 meters radius. So that satisfied our latest SPD in terms of high mold concentration. We have not received any comments from Highway Authority regarding the application, although no parking beat survey was submitted, but the applicant did submit a sustainable statement in relation to the site. Obviously, the site is very near to Wellingborough Road in a sustainable location, close to bus stops and facilities in the area. Private sector housing has no objection to the application and consider that the facilities are adequate for 4 occupants. We have also included a condition to say that the basement area can only be used as storage only, and also to restrict the use to 4 occupants only. So, Chair, that I have nothing further to add, and the recommendation therefore is for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Well, we have no speakers on this committee. Any questions? The first questions go to Rita if there are any. Does anybody have a question? Catherine, Councillor Russell, yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. Rita, on the plans showing of what is proposed, there was a door leading out of the downstairs cloakroom, downstairs toilet. So that means that when somebody wants to take out a bike or rubbish, move anything in and out of the house, through the house, front to back or back to front, they've got to go through the loo.
Let me just call up the plans again, if that's possible. Okay, as you can see, through you, Chair, you can see there's a door there, so it's not exactly open for all. So you come through the kitchen, there's still a hallway to the back door. So there is a door to the WC. Thank you.
Yeah, I missed that. Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. Anyone else got any questions to ask of Rita, please?
Nobody else is indicating.
Thank you, Tracy. Right, committee. Then it goes on to comments. Any comments on the application that Rita's put forward? Councillor Birch, Jane, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. 1 bathroom for 4 separate households, and taking bicycles through a kitchen, dining room and upper hall. I don't think we should be agreeing that this is adequate and suitable accommodation for people. I can't support this. It's again, it's a bathroom facilities, 4 separate households, 1 bathroom. I don't think that is appropriate or suitable.
Thank you. Anyone else got any comments to add, please? Councillor Russell. Catherine?
I would endorse what Councillor Birch says. And these houses are really very small. How 4 people who aren't family are going to get along there, I have no idea.
Thank you. Anyone else got any comments? Committee, please. Councillor
Nobody
Markham,
else.
Brian. Sorry, Tracy.
Sorry.
Councillor Markham, Brian. Brian?
Unmute.
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me? We can't hear you, Brian.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. yes.
Thank you, Chair. Whilst we always prefer we always prefer applications for HIMOs where there's ensuite or there's more bathrooms. Yeah, who wouldn't prefer that? But there isn't in this case. But there could easily be 4 people or more in this 3-bedroom house, and we prefer en suite at least, but that doesn't apply, and I don't think we can turn everything down simply because they don't have private bathing facilities.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Markham. Thank you, Brian. Was there anyone else before I go to the vote, please? No?
Nobody indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. Right. Well, the officers' recommendation committee is for approval. You've heard the comments. Can I have a proposal that we accept the officers' recommendation and we approve this application, please? Councillor Kilby-Shaw, Sam, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Botwood, Alan, thank you. All those in favour that we accept the officers' recommendation to approve this application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
5, Chair. Yeah.
5, 4. Those against?
None, Chair.
Abstentions?
2.
Okay, that's approved on that number. 5, 4 and 2 abstentions. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, we now come on to item 10D committee, which is 5 Beachwood Close, change of use from a dwelling house C3 to children's home. Sorry.
Chair, before we get on to that, I thought I had my iPad plugged in for power. It didn't seem to be, and therefore we should be able, but it's now indicated little power, 5%. So I think what I will do for this item.
Does that mean Avon's not calling now? He's gone. So he's coming back after this item then, is it? Okay. So before I go on with this, Ed, if Councillor Markham has left us for the time being, Councillor McCutcheon is still out, is he?
He is, Chair, yes. We're I do believe he's not come back into the waiting room yet.
And Councillor Lane has still not joined us.
That's correct.
I believe we have 6 committee members voting on this. Yes?
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. Yes, 6 members.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. Right, as I was saying, item 10D, 5 Beachwood Close, change of use from dwelling house to a children's home, use class C2 to accommodate up to 3 children aged 8 to 18. I believe this is yours, Hannah, your report. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. So the application is at 5 Beachwood Close to convert the property to be a children's home for up to 3 children, aged between 8 and 18 years. So this is the application site. You can see it's a detached property on Beachwood Close. So it's this application site, so you can see the driveway as it was. Again, this is the site, so again, you can see the driveway. And then this is just looking in the other direction. So you can see the general character of the area. So as existing, the property is a 4-bedroom house. And if I just move on to proposed plans, you'll see the only change is the label to this room. One of the bedrooms changes to be a carer's room. So the application offers no alterations to the property. It is only to the use of the property. And it's to change the use to a children's home for a maximum of 3 children aged 8 to 18 years. No staff would live permanently on the site, but there would always be a member of staff on site to care for the children. No objections have been received from public protection, private sector housing, the police or highways to this proposal. It is considered the proposal would be operated similarly to if a family was living in this property with up to 3 children, with children being looked after by carers 24/7. It is not considered to be any great impact upon neighbouring amenity as a result of this proposal. Conditions 3 and 4 limit the number of children, the age of the children and the number of staff to be in line with the description. As you saw in the photos, there are 2 off-street parking spaces for this site, and the site is also within walking distance of shops and bus routes. It is not considered the proposal would have an unacceptable impact on the highway network, and indeed highways have not raised an objection. It is therefore not considered the proposal would have an unacceptable impact upon neighbouring community or the highway network, and it is recommended that Planning Commission be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Anna. Well, we have 2 speakers on this. I'll call them as they are listed. I hope I get the pronunciations right. I'd like to call upon Thandi Zulu, please. Thandi Zulu, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here, Chairman.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Well, Thandi, if you'd like to identify yourself and in what capacity you speak, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I am Thandi Zulu. I am a chartered town planner. I am a planning consultant representing GAC Family Services.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm speaking tonight in support of this planning application. The application proposes change of use of the dwelling from a C3 use to a C2 to accommodate a maximum of 3 children from the age of 8 to 18 years. No external alterations are proposed to the property. The only alteration that's proposed is to use one of these bedrooms, which is the smallest bedroom, as a carer's room. There will be staff on duty 24/7, but none of the staff will be resident at the property. There will be an Ofsted registered manager who will be on duty during the day, and at night there will be a sleeping carer. GA Family Services hopes to look after children who cannot be accommodated by foster parents. And due to the use that we are proposing, in the sense that it's going to operate as a family unit, we do not consider that there will be a material change in the use of the property. We note the comments that have been received from neighboring properties in regards to concerns about parking, concerns about noise, and concerns about neighbor amenity. However, we do assure everyone that GA Family Services will make sure that the use is operated in a very good standard. We have employed a very experienced Ofsted registered manager. The use is inspected by Ofsted and CQC, and therefore very high standards will be maintained. And we believe that there is no material change of use of the property, and neighbor amenity will not be harmed. The site is located within a sustainable location with 2 parking spaces, and there's a bus stop nearby, and therefore there will be an opportunity for the carers to use public transport. And we note the neighbor objections, but we do assure everyone that the use will be managed properly. And the government promotes mixed and balanced communities, and we believe that this planning application seeks to do this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Thandi. Now, if you just remain with us in case the committee's got any questions to ask of you, please. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Thandi, please? Councillor Russell, Catherine, yes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thandi, it doesn't appear that the organisation GAC Family Services has an office in Northampton. I don't know if they do or they don't, but if there is a problem and the manager is not available, how would those problems be dealt with, and how would neighbours be able to contact decision makers to deal with any issues?
Tandy, can you answer that, please?
Thank you, Chairman. The director of GA Services lives in Northampton, not very far from the property. And if the manager is not on duty, there will be a responsible individual who will be on call to answer to any problems that may arise. And there will also be carers on call as well, if ever there is a problem at the property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Birch, Jane, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Tally, thank you for your presentation, and I'm very sympathetic to the setting up of family scale homes for some of our looked after children. I can also understand the concerns of neighbours in the management of the home. PAC is a very new company. It's only formed, this time last year, or it hasn't really been in operation very long. What sort of experience does the company have that we could be assured that the neighbours' concerns are not, are ill-founded, and there will be adequate supervision and care for the children, because they will have complex needs? I'm a little bit concerned that there's only one adult in the house at a time. Some of the children that will be housed there will have very, very complex needs, and one adult is perhaps not always the most appropriate. I'd imagine you might need more than that. So just a little bit of more information about the company, the experience they have in managing a home like this, just to make sure that the neighbours' fears are not well-founded. Thank you.
Sandy, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. There will be two carers on site every day during the day, and as well as an Ofsted registered manager who is very experienced. The registered manager is actually the second speaker, and they will be able to demonstrate their experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Has anyone else got any questions to ask of Tandy, please, before I go to the next speaker? No?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you, Tandy. Thank you. I now call upon Nicola Johnston, please. Nicola, are you there? Is Nicola Johnston there, please?
Yes, Nicola is in the meeting. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on mute.
Okay, Nicola, if you'd just like to identify yourself and in what capacity you speak, please.
So I'm Nicola Johnston, and I will be the registered manager of 5 Beachwood Close.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Recent research shows that the number of children in care has gone up by 28% in the past decade. This is an alarming rate, and subsequently this will mean that there will need to be top-level care provisions that can provide suitable accommodation and care for these vulnerable children. We at GAC Family Services aim to be one of those providers and feel that we have the structure, experience and knowledge to be able to provide a high-level quality care service for these children. We have a property at 5 Ditchwood Close, which we feel could be a suitable provision and accommodation that has all the necessary amenities for comfortable living for young people. At Ditchwood House, our purpose and aim is to empower and nurture the young people in our care. As a service, we aim to support and encourage the young people to achieve their goals by feeling cared for and to have a sense of self-worth in the comfort of a homely environment. We want our young people to really thrive and grow whilst in our care. Ditchwood House is a detached 4-bedroom house in a quiet residential area, and the house consists of bright and modern lounge area with a connected dining room. There is a functional and modern kitchen, utilities room and garden area. There are 3 varied sized bedrooms, all which offer enough space for all our young people to have a comfortable and personalised room. There is one room with an ensuite bathroom, which will be used for a staff sleeping room and an office space. There is also a large main bathroom equipped with modern facilities. Ditchwood House is based in Wootton, which is an area about 3 miles south of Northampton town centre, and we feel that the location offers a good transport link, local amenities and a thriving community hub. We aim to provide care and accommodation for up to 3 young people aged between 8 and 18 years with social, emotional and behavioural difficulties. We will implement an impact risk assessment to ensure that all children and young people are screened to ensure they meet our criteria and that we can meet their individual needs as well. The home will be staffed 24/7. There will be 2 staff members and a home manager, which will be myself, during the day, and 2 staff at night time. There will also at night time be an on-call person, and there will be a staffing rota to reflect this. The staff will go through a safer recruitment process. They will all be DBS checked and will all have to complete our mandatory training before working in the home. For us to provide the best quality service, we will also seek out specialist training that gives staff the knowledge and understanding to support each child's individual needs. The home will also have robust risk assessments and
20 seconds remaining.
behaviour management plans to ensure that all staff are aware of how to support the young people whilst in the community. Staff will ensure that if appropriate, young people will be supported and supervised whilst out in the community. The home wants to work with the young people so that they are integrated into the community through schooling, education, or use of local facilities such as sports clubs.
That's 3 minutes, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm afraid I'll have to call a halt to it, Nicola, if you don't mind. If you just remain with us, in case the committee's got any questions to ask of you. Committee, any questions to ask of Nicola, please? Councillor Birch, Jane? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Nicola. I mean, that sounds very impressive and clearly well thought through. How many other homes do you have? You've got 3 applications in the planning tonight. How many homes do you run? Does your organisation run at present?
Ditchwood House will be our first home for GAC Family Services.
Right. And do you have enough staff, to run 3 homes? Because we're going to be looking at 2 more later on.
We do. We're currently going through the recruitment process. Once, if planning is permitted, we will go through an Ofsted process as well for registration of the home, which is a 2-month process roughly. We already have taken on half of our staff team, and the rest will be recruited during the time that we're going through the Ofsted process. There's a lot of applicants that are waiting. However, we've put our interviews on hold to await the decision of this meeting today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else got any questions to ask of Nicola, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Anything you want, before I throw the open for the committee to ask you any questions, Anna, do you want to come back on anything that's already been said?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, committee then, any questions to ask of Anna on her presentation, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Then if we go to the next stage, any comments, committee, on this application? Any comments? No? Okay, so then it falls upon me to ask, could I have a proposal that we accept the officer's recommendation for this application, please? Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Golding. Matt, yeah, do I have a seconder? Councillor Russell, Catherine, thank you. All those in favour to accept the officer's recommendation to approve this application, please?
Five indicating, Chair.
5 indicating. Any abstentions? Only 5 indicating.
Yeah. I didn't see Councillor Kilby-Shaw's hand, so I don't know whether...
Sam, was you approving this or was you abstaining? Sorry, see you on mute, Sam.
I wasn't abstaining, sorry.
So you was for the property. So So that would make the 6, and that's the amount of members I've got present, Rita.
Sorry, I thought Councillor Kilbishaw said he's abstaining.
No, he says he wasn't abstaining. He said he
Right,
was
I beg your pardon, you see approval, sorry. So it's 6 then, sorry.
6. Thank you very much. So that's approved. Thank you very much. Right, we now come on to item 10E committee. 10E is at Telecoms Base Station, Arundel Street. The description is a prior notification of installation of 1 20-metre telecommunications streetworks pole to 1 equipment cabinet, 1 meter cabinet as associated ancillary development. This is it's in the Semelong ward, and the location, as I said, is Telecoms Base Station, Arundel Street, and it's on page 51. Nikki, this is your report. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. So this is the application site here. Hopefully you can just about make out in red that outline there, and that's for the proposed monopole and associated equipment housing. Just an aerial view of the site. Reference is made in the report to the memorial gardens, and you can just make them out there with the trees to the front of that building there. That's Grafton Street Memorial Gardens. And that land is owned by the Borough Council. So again, just another location plan showing the location of the site. And this plan shows the layout of the site. So you would have the equipment cabinets situated just there. And then I can just about get to it, the monopole is situated there, and that would be 20 metres in height. All the equipment and the monopole will be sited on the public footway adjacent to the memorial gardens. Just an elevation plan. The actual pole itself would be coloured in grey. In terms of the height, it's 20 metres in height. And just note the height of the adjacent lamppost there, which is approximately 10 metres high. Discussions were held with the applicant regarding trying to reduce the height of the monopole, but this would have caused issues with services to the nearby flats, which I'll point out to you in subsequent photos. The equipment cabinets that you can see at the base of the pole there, they'd be coloured in forest green to blend in with the background of the trees behind. In respect of alternative sites, in considering applications for prior notifications for telecoms communications, the only matters that the planning authority can consider are matters of siting and design. As part of submissions, it is expected that the applicants will look at alternative sites before submitting and supporting their application with the details. These were the alternative sites that were looked at. The site in the middle there is the application site. The alternative sites that you can see around, they were either discounted due to a number of reasons, either due to insufficient coverage, or it was considered that the pole would be more visually intrusive, or sorry, those are the 2 points. It mainly related to coverage. With one site, there was difficulties with underground supplies in terms of electric and existing statutory undertaker supplies within the ground. So the application site was chosen as it was considered to be the least intrusive. You have the background of the trees, which helps to some degree mitigate the impact of the pole. Also, it was the site that provided the most appropriate and optimal level of coverage, and it would be seen in the context of existing street furniture and varying residential buildings and commercial building heights adjacent. So this is the site here. You can see the trees within the memorial gardens there, and the monopole and equipment would go on the footway to the front of that wall there. just shows you in context. I mentioned earlier about existing street furniture, and there's an existing monopole further down the street. And this just gives you an idea of the context. So to the left, if I can get my pointer, which is playing up, you can see the tree in the memorial gardens to the left-hand side, and the monopole will be situated to the left-hand side of that tree. But that just gives you an idea of the context and heights of buildings and street furniture within the vicinity. Officer opinion is that on balance, this site is the most appropriate and that the siting and design are considered acceptable. There's no objections from Environmental Health or the Highway Authority, and therefore officer recommendation is for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you very much. I believe we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 committee members on this, have we? Have we got 5 or 6?
6, Chair.
Here we are. Thank you very much, Tracy. We've got 6. So Councillor Markham has not come back. Okay, well, we have 2 speakers on this particular application. I'll call them as I've got them listed. I hope I get this pronunciation right. Please forgive me if I don't. I call upon Elodie Lemonnier, please. I hope I've got that right. Elodie Lemonnier, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I hope I've got the pronunciation
You did
right.
perfectly. That's great. Thank you.
Really. Right, Elodie, if you just identify yourself and in what capacity you speak, please.
Okay. Okay, I'm Elodie and I'm speaking as a neighbour. And I'm talking, I would like to object, for the tower.
Okay. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to raise several points regarding the issue I feel this station would cause. Firstly, the tower would be too close from the highly populated building directly across the road, which has several hundred people in it. And even though the proposals claim that the direct wall facing the tower is bare, i.e. no windows, the building is actually a U-shaped style building, where most occupants will actually face the tower directly in full view. Being only a few meters away from the blocks raises serious concerns about the house hazards this would cause, and I feel this location is highly inappropriate. So basically too close from so many people living there. There is no requirement on mobile phone base station operators to undertake ongoing measurements of the radio frequency signals from our existing base stations, says Cornerstone, which means there is no requirements basically for, once the tower is built, to conduct any health and safety or signal safety, which indicates it could start at low levels of radiation and could increase in time, which we have no idea how high they could reach. Thirdly, the proposed documentations mention that the school nearby requested the supply of 5G for the usage of VR, virtual reality. But when I look at the map, this current proposed area seems quite far away from the required VR coverage. And I would suggest maybe a closer location to the school, which if you look at the map, they have not covered this area at all, which is further up north, if you look at this map. So can you see that?
Well, we're not going to have to look at preparations on that. The officers have covered that, Elodie, please.
Yeah, so I would suggest maybe that the coverage is already, there is already a 5G tower approved and planned on St. Andrews Road, which is very close by. So I believe that indicates that the coverage is already there for the 5G. So how about moving it further north, nearer that sort of area?
20 seconds remaining.
Okay, nearer sort of Barrack School and the school. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Elodie. If you just remain with us in case the committee's got any questions to ask of you, please. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Elodie, please? No?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you, Elodie. Thank you very much for that. And I'll call upon Councillor Marriott, please. Councillor Marriott, Les, are you there? I know
Yes,
you're there.
thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's Councillor Les Marriott, Semilong Ward, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you. You've got 3 minutes, Les. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. You probably read from my submission, which should be in the pack, the reason why I'm objecting. I'm not objecting on the basis of any conspiracy theories, health grounds and other things. It's my concern is the location, which is towering over a memorial garden. A little bit disappointed with the officer's submission this evening, not even mentioning that in that context. It seems as if it's been devalued, that spot. In recent years, it hasn't been well looked after, in the sense that a dual carriageway has been built nearby without any consideration for the meaning of the Remembrance Garden. And no wonder highways have got no objection to it. Deeply concerned that we're looking at this from the point of view of location. I think personally that the actual company itself, we're looking at it from cost. It does cost, obviously, to move this tower. Much better location will be moving it into the industrial estate. I have no objections to that, as I've had no objections to the other masts that have been put up into Semilong itself. But this one, I believe, is actually infringing on an area which we should be more respectful of. People at the time felt it necessary to put a Remembrance Garden there for people who lost their lives. You know, and I think we ought to look the same. Very clear on this, I am, especially as we won't consider this near All Saints Remembrance Garden or near the cenotaph. I think one person losing their lives to actually give us the benefits we've got in the democracy is as much as the number of people that actually recognise on the cenotaph or in the Remembrance Garden that we have. I do recognise this is a permitted development. I do understand that these companies have lots of clout these days because of the legislation. I'm a little bit disappointed that they did ask me before the planning permission went in, for my opinion. I did say exactly what I've said to you tonight, and they took no notice. I don't call that consultation. I call that the case of just listening and carrying on. So, Chair, that is my submission. You know, I did note in the report as well that it says there's nothing come back from the Semilong Residents Association, well, Semilong Trinity Neighbourhood Forum. Well, it would have helped if some officer had actually written to them and asked their opinions. That wasn't the case. So I'm disappointed at the way in which this has gone. It seems to be just a Remembrance Garden that's not in a very good location, no doubt, mainly because of what's happened in recent years with the surroundings. But to me, it means a lot to the people that put it there. So, Chair, that's my submission.
Thank you, Les. If you just remain there with us in case the committee's got any questions to ask of you. Committee, have you got any questions to ask of Councillor Marriott, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Councillor Marriott. Thank you for that. Before I throw it open for the committee to ask questions of you, Nikki, do you want to come back on anything that's been said?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just in respect of healthcare, while as I said, the only things that the planning authority can consider are siting and design, there is a requirement with submissions for the applicants to submit a relevant certificate, health certificate. That's always referred to environmental health, and environmental health have raised no objections in that regard. Just to refer back to the siting, apologies to Councillor Marriott, there was no intention to demean the value of the memorial gardens whatsoever. As I say, a number of sites were looked at as shown on the plan, and on balance, this was considered to be the most appropriate site. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, has anybody got any questions to ask of Nikki on this, please, committee?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
No, thank you, Tracy. Right, comments, committee. Anybody got any comments, please? Councillor Birch. Jane, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Nikki's just said this was the most appropriate site. Well, I do have to disagree with that, because I think it is one of the least sensitive sightings of one of these huge 20-metre poles. If we look at national policies, it says equipment should be sympathetically designed and camouflaged where appropriate. Well, neither is going to happen in this case. And it's, it is all, this memorial garden is already by a busy dual carriageway, and it's now going to be, impacted even further by a cabinet on the pavement next to that stone wall, plus a very, very high pole. Memorial gardens are there for a reason, and they mean something to local people, and they are there to provide some peace, some quiet, and to just show respect to the people that have died in order to, do their duty to the country. I think there must be other places for this pole within that area. Even if it was moved 20 yards down the road, I can't see that that would give a less efficient coverage. I really am, I absolutely agree with Councillor Marriott. It's quite upsetting to think that this will be next door to a memorial garden. It will spoil the view of the trees. It will just be another piece of very large street furniture that will detract from the meaning of that space.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Thank you, Jane. Councillor Russell. Catherine, yeah.
Yes, I'd like to add my voice to Councillor Marriott and Councillor Birch, and just to say, when I saw the image of where this was going to be sited with the flats on the one side, and there's a street light there which is 10 metres, just imagining what a 20-metre pole is going to look like. And if, as a resident said, all the residents are looking out of the window straight onto the pole, I couldn't think of anything worse. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you very much. Anyone else got any comments to make? Councillor Galway. Matt, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to agree with some of the points raised by Councillor Birch and support Councillor Marriott, I think. Whilst I'm all for progression and helping everybody with that connectivity, technologically wise and all that, I think it is important that we acknowledge what has gone before us, and people, like us in positions that represented the communities a long time ago, deemed it right that something like a memorial garden was put there, and we have to, I think, acknowledge that and try and uphold some of the spirit that those people showed when they designated that area a memorial garden. And I feel quite strongly that we need to sort of keep and uphold that, and that frankly we need to try better when we're trying to site new pieces of street furniture like this. So I won't be supporting this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Councillor Kilbershaw. Sam, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I agree with all my colleagues. I'm all for technological advancement. I think 5G is going to be a benefit to Northampton and the country, but I don't think that position right there is the right place. I think we should reconsider where we place it, even if it's just, as already been said, maybe 20 or 30 yards away. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's only you, Councillor Botwood and me. Have you got anything to say? No? Councillor Botwood?
To be fair, Chair, I think I agree with all the comments that have been made. I'm all for 5G, and you do get a lot of people moaning about broadband's not very good, signal's not very good, and everything else. Yes, we do need these things, but again, they don't want to be in near a memorial garden that can be sited somewhere else, and let's hope it can.
Well, I approach this with an open mind, but if it comes down to a situation where do I vote for the future with these 5G masts and so forth, and do I remember the past, the fallen and all that, with having a lot of family that was in conflicts and who lost their lives through it. I think on that basis, I think I would have to support what's been said. I can't forget those that have fallen, even though it's very hard on a planning matter to see where we could, on planning rules, refuse this. But I have to go with my heart on this one. I think I would share the rest of the committee's views. So therefore, I'm assuming that accepting the officer's recommendation is not going to be possible on this one. I would say that I can't get a proposer, can I? I don't think I can get a proposer. So if I can't get a proposer or a seconder, then it automatically falls, I believe, Teresa, doesn't it? We have to have an alternative proposition, do we not?
That's right. You need an alternative proposal.
Councillor
Chair,
Goldberg,
sorry, Chair, I may be able to help. Obviously, for the prior notification application, there's 2 points we looked at, is the siting and design. By looks of it, I think it's not so much the design, but the siting.
It's the site.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so hearing the comments
I have to say,
from...
Rita, if I can come across you, I don't think anybody's against this. As a principle, I think what they're against is they're just the siting.
Siting, quite.
Yeah.
So I think, obviously, subject to your comment, I think I agree with the member, it's to do with the siting and the impact on the memorial garden that members have misgivings for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether we can defer this or what to give it the applicant the chance to recite it.
Through you, Chair, we cannot defer prior notification application without the agreement from the applicant, because they will have deemed consent if you any delay. So we have to make a decision on this.
Okay. Well, the decision is that we haven't got a proposer for the recommendation. So,
Chair.
Bagley's
indicating.
Sorry.
Chair, Bagley.
Could I just?
Yes, Peter. Yes, come in, please.
Perhaps could I just ask Rita or Nikki to clarify the prior notification position, because this isn't actually granting planning permission. So Rita, could you clarify what that might mean in terms of not agreeing that prior notification is not required?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. So through you, Chair. Yes, we can still refuse to grant permission on a prior notification on the siting aspect of an application, which we have done so before previously for other prior notification masks under delegated powers. So
thank you. It's just clarifying that position, because it didn't.
Thank you very much for that, Peter, because I think that opens the blinds a little bit on that. So, Councillor Golby, I know you was going to make a proposition, and I just wondered if you'd like to do it on that we object or refuse it on the grounds of the prior notification, that is on the siting. It's purely on the siting.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. I was going to suggest we look to try and defer it, but Rita explained that we can't really do that. So I'm happy to propose, as you just outlined there, Chair.
That it's based on the siting.
Correct.
Okay. Seconded to that, Councillor Bowler, are you seconding that? Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Golby's proposition on the siting, refusing it on the siting basis?
It's unanimous for 6 members, Chair.
Okay, so you'll let me know when you'll write to me and email me with the actual decision on that one. So that's refused on the grounds that we've just explained. Okay.
Sorry, Chair. I'm just going to admit Councillor Lane to the meeting. He's in the waiting room.
That's very handy. Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Chair, can we just confirm that we'll agree the refusal reason in consultation with yourself and the head of planning, the details.
It's good for the siting, yeah. And if you second that, if you send that on to me, I'll confirm it as well. Is that all right, Nikki? Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks for that. Good evening, Jamie. Just before I go, Jamie, on Item 4, have you got any declarations of interest? Sorry, predetermination, etc. Pardon?
None.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Right, so now we come on to item 10F committee. And before I start it, how many members have we got now on the voting? I think
we have 7.
Councillor Markham can't get back in. He's got technical problems. And Councillor Davenport's been emailing me saying she's having trouble getting in to the meeting. She keeps asking. Tracy and Ed, I think she's copied you in. Can you clarify that?
I can confirm that Councillor Davenport at the moment is in the meeting.
Okay. So on this particular application, we have 7 members. Is that right?
Correct, Chair.
That's okay then. That's okay. Right.
Chair, didn't 2 members declare their determination on this?
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Councillor Russell, I think you need to leave this because you've got a predetermination on this one. Is that right?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for that. And Councillor Birch, you will be remaining because you're speaking on it, aren't you? And then leaving the room, I believe. Councillor Birch, where's everybody gone? Is everybody gone?
No, that's exactly right, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, so item 10F is 14 Stanhope Road, the location. There's a change of use from a dwelling house to a house in multiple occupation for 4 occupants. And I believe this is your report again, Rita. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. So just let me do the pointer pen. Please. Thank you, Chair. Yes, again, this is a similar application from a previous one for a change of use from a dwelling house to a 4-occupant HIMO. This is Stanhope Road. As you can see, it's terrace property along here. This is Cranbrook Road in there. Just an area photograph to show you the area. So you have Kingsop Road to the west of the site. Just an area photograph. As you see, it has got quite a long garden. This is the application site with the rear outrigger there. Just a front view of the application site here. Just a rear view again. You can see the rear outrigger of the site. So this is currently a 2-bedroom property, although I say 2-bedroom, it has got quite a lot of floor area. As you can see, existing on the basement, it has a room there and storerooms on an ensuite in the basement. On the ground floor, it has 2 lounges, kitchen and dining room. Upstairs, there are 2 bedroom and a bathroom and an attic room as well. For the proposal, the ground floor or the basement room will be used for storage. There will still be a toilet within the basement. In terms of the ground floor, there will be 1 ensuite bedroom, as you can see there. And coming through from the front door, you have the lounge, kitchen area and dining room. For the first floor, there will be 3 bedrooms. The existing bathroom will be converted to one of the bedrooms, so though the other 2 bedrooms will remain. For the attic room, that will be converted to a bathroom. So just to show you, there will be enough headroom for the bathroom. So in terms of the application, a concentration will be 6.66% within the 50 meters radius to comply with the HIMO SPD. We have not received any comments from Highways Authority, but obviously the site has got on-street parking provision, but at times it will be quite crowded, but the site, it is within a sustainable location. within easy walking distance with bus stops and facilities, which is indicated in the officer's reports. Private sector housing has no objection to this application, although the application originally came in was for 5 occupants, and the officer subsequently have asked the applicant to reduce that to 4 to make sure that there are sufficient facilities to cater for the residents. Obviously, you can see the bin store and bike store to be located in the rear garden area here. So really, obviously consider that the proposal does comply with our development plan policy and the SPD. So the recommendation, Chair, is for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Right, we have Tracy, who was the councillor that's just joined the meeting?
It was Councillor Davenport.
Oh, right, okay, that she's one of the speakers, yes, okay. Right, on another application. Right, we have 2 speakers on this, and Councillor Birch, I'm going to jump you up to be speaking first. So because as soon as you've spoke, you've got to leave the meeting. Okay? So if you just identify yourself and in what capacity you speak for the record, please, Jane.
Right. Councillor Jane Birch, I'm the Borough Councillor for Trinity, and this application is in my ward.
Thank you very much. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
It's a very strange one, this, because it seems like a higgledy-piggledy house for a start. It's a small house, and it's sited absolutely at the most congested, busiest area of Stanhope Road. It's opposite the Working Man's Club, which it's very, very busy, lots of comings and goings, and there's lots of parking. You drive along Stanhope Road in the evening, the cars are double parked, you cannot get any kind of emergency vehicle through there. So I cannot understand why we have not got a parking beat survey. I don't accept that reasons given here due to not being able to undertake one under the current restrictions relating to travel. You know, how ridiculous is that? Why somebody can't get in a car, come and do a parking beat survey and actually give us the proper evidence that there is no residual parking. Talking about bikes, it's a sustainable location. You know, the bike store is at the rear of the property. To get a bike out onto the road, somebody will have to carry it up the stairs at the back of the property, up wooden stairs at the back of the property, through the dining area, through the kitchen, through the lounge, and then out along the hallway, the front of the property and onto the pavement. It's just not practical. It's another problem is the bathroom right at the top of the house. There is an ensuite for the first floor, for the ground floor bedroom, and I'm very pleased to see that. But again, we've got 3 bedrooms with a bathroom on the floor above. I really don't think I can. I'm very, very reluctant to support this, although we need housing for single people. This is not going to provide a solution to our housing in a way that I think is acceptable. The area we have a lot of students in the area, and all the HIMOs associated with that. We have a lot of transient population. There's very little buy-in to the community, and it's a very close-knit community. People have lived there for years. A lot of elderly people in the community, and there's a huge amount of disruption to their environment and the places.
20 seconds remaining.
Right. So I'd ask you to look at this carefully from the practical point of view, but also from the disruption that another HIMO, another house of multiple occupancy, with people coming and going in the community, and the effects that will have on the local residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. With that, I'm afraid you've got to leave the meeting, but thank you very much for tonight's attendance. Thank you. Right, I now call upon Mr. Wayne Hughes, please. Mr. Hughes.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yes, just identify yourself and in what capacity you speak.
Good evening.
Mr. Hughes, please. Thank you.
I'm a local resident. I live just round the corner from this property, and I'd like to talk about the impact that this was having on Stanhope Road.
Very good. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Hughes. Thank you.
Thank you. When I first moved to Balmoral Road, just round the corner, Stanhope Road was full of families. In the years since, it has rapidly deteriorated. The road is full of houses of multiple occupation that are not necessarily registered with the council. We have a lot of houses where they just ram in the people, and this has two real detrimental effects. First one is the parking. Parking is an absolute nightmare. You get double parking in the evening. You have cars parking in the local roads from Stanhope, and that really has to be taken into consideration, please. And the other is the noise and disruption. I have friends who live in Stanhope Road who work from home, and during the day, they struggle to do what we're doing this evening, which is holding a conference call, because all you hear is the partying, the noise from these houses of multiple occupations that are not necessarily registered with you. It is just ramming in another high density housing into a street that has deteriorated as a result of it. Large amounts of rubbish tipped outside. You're driving down the quality of life in this area by granting this, and it's a 5-bedroom. That, you know, they've just rebadged the bottom bedroom by knocking bed off the room and just calling it room. This will be used as a 5-bedroom HMO, and I beg of you, please refuse this application. It's one too many. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. If you just remain with us in case the committee has got any questions to ask of you. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Mr. Hughes, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Thank you for that. Right, anything to come back on before I throw open the questions to you, Rita, please? What's been said? Rita?
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. No, I have nothing further to add, Chair.
You haven't. Okay. So, committee, any questions to ask of Rita, please?
Nobody's indicating.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Right, it's comments committee. Anybody got any comments to ask on add on this application, please? Councillor Botwood. Alan, yes.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, from my point of view, for the limited time that I've been on the planning committee, this is certainly not one of the best HMOs that have been presented to us. I'm a little bit concerned of the washing facilities in the sense that three bedrooms have got to go up. There is a toilet in the basement, but the other bedroom right at the back, the ensuite is against the lounge. So, you know, I just have reservations about it, but the same token, I can't really find any material planning reason to object to it. And that's just a comment I'd like to make.
Yes, I share your views there, Councillor Botwood. Councillor Golding, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I'm pretty much in the same place as Councillor Botwood there. Certainly appreciate the concerns raised by Councillor Birch and Mr. Hughes there, and I agree with Councillor Birch's point around it's disappointing that there can't be a parking beat survey, you know, put in as a part of the application. You know, we've got the rules around density, and this is this sits well below those density rules. And I think the comment, if there are any unregistered HMOs there, we need to get those reported through the council so they can be checked and enforced if need be. But I really struggle to find a reason why we could turn this down. That certainly wouldn't go to appeal, and that would go to appeal and just be completely rolled over. So completely understand the concerns raised, but it's very difficult for us to find a reason why we shouldn't support this. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Gobbin. Matt, couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Even the local highways authority have got no comments, but excuse me, this is the difference between perhaps a principal reason and a planning reason. For a planning reason, it would be very difficult. I don't think I could find a planning reason to refuse it. Anybody else got any comments on this application, please?
Nobody's indicating.
Appreciate that, Tracy. Thank you. So the officer's recommendation and hearing all the comments has been made on it, both for and against it. The officer's recommendation is for approval. Do I have a proposal that we accept the officer's recommendation on planning grounds? That is Councillor Botwood. Alan, thank you. A seconder. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Galway. Matt, thank you. All those of us in favour that we accept the officer's recommendation, please, for approval.
5, Chair, unanimous.
Unanimous, yes, 5. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chair, Councillor Birch is just rejoining the meeting.
Councillor Birch is. Okay, so on that note, how many councillors do we have now? 6?
Yeah,
correct, Chair.
Pardon?
Correct, yes.
6. Okay, that's fine. Right, we now go to item 10G committee, which is a change of use from a dwelling house. This is on page 65, by the way. Change of use from a dwelling house to children's home to accommodate a maximum of 2 children aged 8 to 18 years old at 121 Penryn Road. I believe this one is your report, Hannah. So could I ask you if you could present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. The application site is located on the southern side and it's an end of terrace property. Let me just see. This shows the front of the property. And then just to show you the rear. So as with the previous one we looked at this evening, the only change is 1 bedroom, which is this one, from a bedroom to a carer's room. So as existing, it's a 3-bedroom house, and it's proposed to change the use into a children's home for 2 children aged between 8 and 18, and a carer's room associated with that. There's no alterations proposed to the exterior of property at all, so it's just a change of use that we are looking at. Staff will be on site 24/7, with sleeping staff at night and staff on site all day. No objections have been received from public protection, private sector housing or the police, and no comments have been received from highways. It is considered the proposal would be similar to a family living within the property, with 2 children in the house being looked after 24/7. It is not considered to be any greater impact on neighbours, and there's conditions to control the number and age of the children and the number of staff. With regards to the highway impact, there is no off-street parking. However, it's not considered as any worse impact than the current use, where the family dwelling house wouldn't have any parking either. The site is also within close walking distance of shops and bus routes, and NCC Highways haven't objected. They haven't responded to the consultation, so we have to take that as no objection to the scheme. It's therefore considered that the change of use would not have an unacceptable impact on neighbouring community or the highway network, and it's recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you very much. Well, we have we have speakers on this. So I call upon the first speaker is Councillor Davenport, please. Councillor Davenport, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I don't know what's going on the screen. One
No.
moment, let me try to, it's a new laptop. I don't know what's going on. So, I'll start, shall I? As most people are aware, Far Cotton is an amazing community. Now, when the university arrived, so did a lot of chaos, because no forethought was put into the effect the university would have on its neighbours in Far Cotton, especially on the quality of residents' lives. Now, we all fought for almost 3 years trying to get an Article 4 direction order for the area to limit the number of HMOs. And now it appears these houses are being purchased for other uses than family homes. They will not be available for families, whether to rent or buy, first-time buyers. Residents feel this is stripping Far Cotton of its best asset, its residents, living in residential family homes. Residents are concerned that if these are passed, it will set a precedent for the area. The only people living in the house will be the children, so there can never be that passion or even connection with the area. The staff will be transient, like all the people living in HMOs. We already have numerous problems with HMOs and antisocial behaviour. Residents are very concerned that this is just the beginning and it will totally change the character of this area. And they're worried that there will be no residential houses there soon if the purchase of these homes are continually purchased for non-residential family use. Parking, there'll be 3 members of staff during the day and occasional social workers and support workers. We've already got problems there and that people can't park anywhere near their streets. Angel Square without parking for staff who now park in Far Cotton streets. And now we're told electric charge points are going to be put 4 in each street for electric cars, which nobody owns. So it's going to change the character of the area. There's already antisocial behaviour. And one resident said, is this the right environment for children with behavioural problems? Haven't got the answer to that. And that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Davenport. You just remain there. I'm having problems, committee, with my camera. I'm still in the meeting, but I still have to just voice what I'm saying if it comes to voting. I can't get my camera sorted out, so I'm sorry about that at the moment. Thank you, Julie. Has anybody got any questions to ask of Councillor Davenport, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Right, thank you for that, Julie. Thank you very much. And I'll call upon Councillor Roberts, please.
Thank you, Chair.
If you just identify yourself, Councillor, and in what capacity you speak, please.
Okay. Councillor Emma Roberts, Ward Councillor for Delabrie, Far Cotton and Briar Hill.
Thank you very much. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I share Councillor Davenport's considerable concerns over the precedent that this is going to set. We've got 2 applications in front of us tonight for the same area and one that you've already determined. There isn't any surveys in respect of parking that you're required for a HMO. There isn't any assessment that you're required in respect of concentration like you are for a HMO. And even though this is a C3 dwelling house changed to a C2 residential institution, it's a business and it feels like a business, but yet it isn't treated that way. We've got, as I say, 2 in the same street, but where does that stop? Where do we stop? How many will be allowed in one concentration? I fully appreciate the need for residential housing for children or looked after children, but I just feel like we've gone into these applications without the forethought that's really needed. GAC Family Services are a business and they'll be running as such. We've got 3 employees visiting the property, and the children in the property are 8 to 18. So that's potentially 5 cars, because I know the report says that it's unlikely they'll be driving, but obviously if they're 17 upwards, they are able to and would be encouraged to. So there's potentially 5 additional cars there in an already strapped for parking area. It feels like we've taken an approach with these types of applications that we're going to feel very, very sorry about in 6 months or a year's time. And I think the planning framework and the planning committee should consider the impact of decisions like this and the impact that they will have on the wider area. It just feels like we rush into these decisions and a decision like this without considering that ongoing impact that will have or will be had on Far Cotton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. If you just remain there so that anybody can ask any questions, any of the committee can. Committee, has anybody got any questions to ask of Councillor Roberts, please?
Nobody's
No.
indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I now call upon the next speaker, Tandy Zulu, please. Tandy, would you like to come and present your statement, please? Identify yourself again like you did previously, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Chairman. I am Tandy Zulu. I'm a chartered town planner and I'm a consultant representing GAC Family Services.
Okay, you have 3 minutes as like before. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. The application is for change of use of the existing C3 dwelling into a children's home C2 to accommodate a maximum of 2 children. The property is a 3-bedroom dwelling, and the 2 bedrooms would accommodate 2 children, and the 3rd bedroom will be used as a carer's sleeping room. The property will accommodate children between the ages of 8 to 18 years. No staff will be living permanently at the property, and staff will be available within the property 24/7 on a rota, and there'll be a maximum of 2 carers at any point in time, as well as 1 registered Ofsted manager to look after the children. At night, there will be staff on call in case there is a problem and there's a need for extra hands to help with running the home. The home will be is regulated by Ofsted and CQC, and therefore it will offer good quality standard of accommodation for the children. And the use will be operated in a similar manner to a family with 2 children. And given this, we feel that there's no material difference between using this property as a dwelling, as a C3 dwelling, and using it as a C2 use for a children's home for a maximum of 2 children. Professionals will visit the property, and these are just social workers every 6 weeks or so, and any other appointments will be done off-site. There's no on-street parking, there's no off-street parking, and all parking is on-street, along the street, and only the 2 carers can actually use the bus and public transport because the site is actually sustainable. And we feel that the need for parking will be similar to the need for a C3 use, which is the current use of the property. And the property is going to accommodate children who cannot be accommodated by foster carers, and these are looked after children. And we feel that the government is actually encouraging local authorities to support such kind of uses because they promote a mixed and balanced communities. And we feel that we are trying by all means to give back to the community by looking at providing good accommodation for children who need this kind of accommodation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Tandy. If you just remain with us in case the committee's got any questions to ask of you. Committee, do you have any questions to ask of Tandy, please? No?
Nobody's indicating.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you. Thank you, Tandy, for that. Thank you. Now call upon Mr. Mark Easy, please. Mr. Easy, if you'd like to identify yourself and in what capacity you speak, please.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Mark Easy. I'm the responsible individual for 121 Penguin Road. We at GC, thank you. We at GC Family Services aim to be one of those providers where we can provide a structure and experience and knowledge to be able to provide a high level of quality care for these children. Just to give you some of the background, myself as a responsible individual, I have over 10 years experience as a registered manager working with some of the top care companies across the country. The registered manager that we would employ would also have that level of experience and also would be registered by Ofsted in relation to the home also. 121 is a 3-bedded semi-detached property with on-road parking, again equipped with modern facilities. The home is in a residential area of Fern Cotton, allowing easy access to nearby transport links, local shops, health access and other local amenities. We aim to provide care for and accommodation to 2 children and young people aged 8 to 18 with social, emotional, behavioural difficulties, and the home will be registered by Ofsted. We will install an impact risk assessment to ensure all children and young people are screened to ensure that they meet our criteria and we can meet their own individual needs. The home will be staffed 24/7 with a minimum of 2 staff and the home's manager during the day, and 2 staff and an on-call person at night. And there will be a staffing rota to reflect this. All staff will go through our safe recruitment process. They'll be DBS checked and complete our mandatory training before working in the home. They will complete training such as safeguarding training, health and safety and first aid, among others. And in order for us to provide the best quality service, we'll be seeking out specialist training that gives the knowledge and understanding to support the children's individual needs. The home will have a robust risk assessment and placement and behaviour management plans in place to ensure all staff are aware of how to supervise and support the young people whilst out in the community. Staff will ensure that if appropriate, young people will be supported and supervised whilst out in the community. The home wants to work with the young people so that they are integrated into the community through schooling, education, local facilities, sports, clubs and activities, etc. As research has shown that the more the young people feel part of the community, they're more likely to take ownership and accountability of the way they behave in the community. We aim to use multi-agency work and build connections with the partners and agencies in the local community and the wider region to support the young people. And we want to integrate our residential, we want to be integrated into the residential area and not stand out as a children's home. So we will be sensitive to the needs of those around us and to our neighbours in relation to parking when staff arrive on-site, on and off-site, and also limiting any disturbances. Just in closing, we hope that you will accept our proposal. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Easy. If you just stay there in case anybody wants to ask any questions. Committee, do you want to ask any questions of Mr. Easy, please? Councillor Burke, Jane. Yes, thank you, Tracy. Councillor Burke, Jane, carry on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Easy, for talking us through all that. I think you've heard some of the worries and concerns from the local councillors about the 2 children's homes that you're proposing to open in this area. You know, I'm a corporate parent, I'm a county councillor as well, so I absolutely appreciate the value of giving some of our looked after children who are the most vulnerable a home environment rather than an institution. What are you going to do to establish yourself in the community as, you know, as a good neighbour? How are you going to approach the local residents and explain your situation so that there isn't a sense of unease developing as you bring your children into this community?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we will give them the contact details who they can actually contact in relation to any concerns. But that will mainly be the home's manager and also myself as the responsible individual. So we can put any fears that they may have to one side. Our homes will be thoroughly risk assessed, as I mentioned there. So we will have a screening process to the young people that we'll be taking. So we will only take young people who meet the criteria of the home and we feel that are suited to that residential setting. So if they, depending on the needs or the risks of that young people, if they've got high risks or really complex needs, then we may feel that they're not suited to live at 121 Penryn Road. So the screening process for us is really critical. But yeah, it's all about giving the neighbours the contact details. So if they do have any concerns, they can come to myself, they can go to the home manager. We will keep them on board with any changes that we make or anything that we're doing as a company and as a home. So it's just keeping those lines of communication very, very clear.
Thank you, Mr. Easy. Thank you. Anybody else got any questions to ask of Mr. Easy, please?
Nobody indicating, Chair.
Thank you. I'm fighting my gremlins here myself, but anyway, just carrying on. Thank you, Mr. Easy, for that. Right, anything, Anna, that you've heard that you want to come back on?
No, thank you, Chair.
Right, committee, then any questions directly to Anna, please, on this application? Nobody asking any questions of Anna?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Right, comments, committee. Any comments? We're on to comments now on this. Councillor Golby, Matt, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to say, I think as with the previous application, I'll be supporting this. And we have, as Councillor Birch mentioned, we are corporate parents, and we need to have appropriate places to place children within Northamptonshire. But saying that, we must listen to the concerns of the local councillors and those around the point about community, and just urge the company that will be running this and the people that we've heard from this evening, Mr. Easy, that everything is done to try and ingratiate these homes, these houses, and make sure they are a part of the community, so they function as a part of the community, because we have had some challenges in Farcotton. So happy to support this, but just to make sure that we do everything we can to try and help, coordinate and work with the community to make sure that the community functions as much as possible. Thank you.
I would fully endorse that, Matt, as well. Thank you. Councillor Botwood, Alan.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I also endorse what Councillor Golby has just said. I mean, I certainly don't like the reference to liking these to HIMOs. They are totally different. Young children deserve a good start in life, and this is trying to give them the best family environmental area that they can have. I personally would like to see CAG Family Services work with the local councillors to alleviate any problems and form a partnership, and hopefully the children could be integrated into the area.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else got anything to say before I go to the vote? No? I fully endorse what Councillor Golby and Councillor Botwood have said. There is a need for this. Okay, I can understand people's concerns as on the face value as it looks, but I think there is enough measures in place to make sure that these occupants behave and are in keeping with the surrounding areas and behaviour accordingly. So there's no more numbers in the places if it was a family house, but so I would support it. Excuse me. So, members of the committee, it now falls upon me to ask if I can get a proposer that will accept the officer's recommendation, if that's what you want. Do I have a Councillor Kilby-Shaw proposing? Thank you. Councillor Botwood seconding. Thank you. Excuse me, folks. But I know you can't see me, but I'm voting for it as well, Teresa, if that's acceptable. I'm voting for it on top of the hands that you see now. So,
Chair, unanimous is 5 members. Because Councillor Lane seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, I was going to come on to that before the next application. So that's voted unanimously. Thank you.
Chair, we have Councillor Brian Markham and Councillor Jamie Lane in the waiting room. I will admit them both now.
Oh, thank you very much. Good deal with the numbers. Thank you very much. All right, let me know when they're back in. Are they back?
They're back, Chair.
Okay, I'm only half here, but I am here anyway. So anyway, we now come on to item 10H committee. 10H, which is again on Penryn Road, 62 Penryn Road, which is very similar to what we've just debated. Change of use from a dwelling house to children's home to accommodate a maximum of 2 children between the age of 18 to 18. 8 to 18 is the same as what was previously. Anna, this is your report again. Would you like to present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. So yes, this application is very similar to the previous one. Again, it's for up to 2 children on the same road. So we're now on the northern side of Penryn Road. So we were on the southern side before. So just over here. Again, it's an end of terrace property. So this shows the front and then just show you the rear of it. Again, it is currently a 3-bedroom property, and the only change is this room from a bedroom to a carer's room. So the change is proposed to a maximum of 2 children aged between 8 and 18. Again, there's no changes at all to the appearance of the property, it's just the use. There would be staff on site 24/7. And again, there's no objections from public protection, private housing or the police, and no comments received from highways, which we must take as being no objection. It's again considered this would be very similar to a family living at the property with 2 children looked after 24/7. But it's not considered to be any greater impact on neighbours, and conditions are again proposed limiting the number of children and staff. Again, with highways, although there is no off-street parking, the site is in a sustainable location with shops and bus routes nearby. NCC highways have not objected, and it's not considered the parking demand is likely to be any greater than should it be a family living in the property with 2 children. It's therefore considered the change of use would not have an unacceptable impact on neighbouring community and highway network, and it is recommended for approval.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, we have 4 speakers on this again. I'll call upon Councillor Davenport, please. Councillor Davenport, you still with us?
Councillor Davenport is in the meeting, yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
all I can do is
identify yourself in what, just for the record, so that it goes against the application. In what capacity you speak, please?
Julie Davenport, Ward Councillor for Delapre and Borough Hill, Divisional Councillor, County Council.
Okay, Julie, you have 3 minutes if you want to take it, yeah.
No, because I've already said everything I need to say, to be honest with you. So all I'd be doing is repeating myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. I don't suppose the committee's got any questions to ask of you of this one, as they didn't have any on the previous one. But committee, do you have any questions to ask from Councillor Davenport? No?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you, Tracy. Councillor Roberts, are you still with us? Emma, do you want to say anything more? You've got just identify yourself just for the record against this application, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Councillor Emma Roberts, Ward Councillor for Delapre, Farcotton and Briar Hill. And I do have a few things to say. I reiterate everything said previously, but I'd like to add a couple of points. This is the second, obviously, application for the same street. What would happen if GAC Family Services purchase any empty properties, and then we have applications coming forward for the whole of the street to become, or a portion of the street to become, residential institutions? Councillor Botwood referenced the fact that we were liking it to HMOs. It's not liking the property or the design or the idea of a residential institution to a HMO. It's liking the problems that potentially come with it to a HMO. And those things haven't been considered, and all of the things that have to be considered when it's a HMO or when it's business use or when it's any other class change haven't been considered as part of the planning process and aren't being considered here. And that, for me, has a detrimental effect on the residents of Penryn Road and the surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Committee, any questions to ask of Councillor Roberts as a matter of procedure? No? Okay, Thank you, Tracy. I now call upon Tandy Zulu again. Tandy, do you want to expand on anything that you didn't say previously?
Thank you, Chairman. I think, like the previous application, we hope to look after 2 children and give 2 children who are currently not able to live with their parents, give them a decent family home, well looked after, good quality standard of accommodation, with a staff that are dedicated to looking after the children and making a change in the children's lives, putting positive impact into what they do, into their future as well. And also we believe that a development as proposed should really be encouraged, as it meets the government aims of promoting a mixed and balanced community within established residential areas. And this is what we hope to do. We also hope to work harmoniously with neighbors. We will listen to their concerns. We hope to have a good relationship with neighbors. And if at all there are any problems, we will be very proactive and willing to work with councillors as well to make this a success. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Tandy. Thank you very much. Any questions? Anybody to ask of Tandy, please?
Councillor Birch is indicating, Chair.
Councillor Birch, Jane, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tandy, for explaining a little bit further. We only saw the photographs of these buildings very quickly. To me, they looked fairly run down. We're wanting to give young people who are living away from their families a family home, and we want to put them into really, really good accommodation. How much? What sort of standard are you aiming for? Because to me, it looks as if there's going to be quite a lot of work to be done in those properties to make them warm, welcoming, and somewhere that I would want my children to live, in comfort and in surroundings that are going to enhance their behaviour and their progress and recovery.
Andy, yes, go on. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. In response to that, I would like to point out that the use is regulated by Ofsted, and Ofsted does have minimum requirements. They will inspect the property. So the whole property is going to be renovated inside out because it's got to pass the Ofsted regulations and Ofsted standards. And if it's not renovated to the right standards, we will not be given an Ofsted license to operate. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else got any questions to ask of Tandy, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. And I'll call upon Mr. Mark Easy again. Mr. Easy, if you just identify yourself again for the record.
Yep, it's Mark Easy, responsible individual to 62 Penryn Road.
Right, you have 3 minutes as previously.
Yeah, no, okay, thank you, Chair. Number 62 is 3-bedroom semi-detached property with off-road parking, offering the necessary amenities and furnishings required. Again, this is similar to 121. Having both properties on the same road, what that provides us with some flexibility in terms of matching the needs of the young people. For example, we could place younger children in one of the provisions and older in the other one of the provisions, or we could be matched against the individual needs of the young people. So it actually provides us with a bit of flexibility in terms of our matching process. Very similar to as before, we will provide accommodation for 2 children and young people aged 8 to 18 with social and emotional behaviour difficulties. This must obviously pass the Ofsted registration. We will also provide, again, an impact risk assessment to ensure all children and young people are screened to ensure they meet our criteria and that we can meet their individual needs. And again, there will be 24-hour staffed, minimum of 2 staff in the home, including the home manager during the day, and a minimum of 2 staff and an on-call person during the night. And there will be a staffing rota to reflect that. As stated before, the staff will go through a safe recruitment process, DBS checked, and complete our mandatory training before they can actually work in the home. In order for us to provide the best quality care, we want to offer obviously specialist training to increase the knowledge and understanding of the young people to meet their needs. The home will have a robust risk assessment, placement and behaviour management plan in place to ensure that all staff are aware of how to support the young person whilst in the community. We will also implement what's called a location risk assessment, where we will multi-agency work with certain partners in the community, including the police, who will also have a say on our location risk assessment. We want to be integrated within the residential area, as stated before. So we will be sensitive to the needs of the neighbours around us and those around us in terms of parking when arriving on shift and limiting any disturbances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Easy. Any questions to ask of Mr. Easy, committee, please?
Councillor Brian Markham is indicating.
Councillor Markham, Brian, yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to ask Mr. Easy, just to be clear, because it was one councillor in. Sorry, can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Just to be clear, you've no intention, and I don't want to sound wrong, but you know, there's an implication that perhaps you might have a whole string of houses in the same street. I understand the benefits of having a couple near each other, but you know, it's not your intention in any way to create some sort of, I don't know. I can't see there'd be anything particularly wrong with it, but you know, just to be clear.
No, that's not our indication in terms of you know, buying any other properties in terms of housing young people in the street. We feel that the two properties that we have at the moment is sufficient enough, and that the young people, which we are a total of 4 young people, is enough for us to provide the best quality of care. I think any more than that, then we go outside the remit of the sort of the level and the quality of care that we can provide. And yeah, that we don't have any plans, I can assure you, to buy any other properties on that road.
Right.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Easy. No further questions to ask of Mr. Easy? Okay. No one's indicating? No. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Mr. Easy. Thank you for that. Before I throw it open to the committee to ask questions of you, Anna, did you want to come back on anything that was said?
No, thank you, Chair.
Right. Committee, have you got any questions to ask of Anna then, please?
Nobody's indicating, Chair.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Thank you very much for that. Right, it's comments committee, like it was before. Any comments on this particular application?
Councillor Markham has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor Markham, Brian, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure probably these comments have been made on the previous application. I lost myself in these. I'm just frankly disturbed and appalled that councillors should be suggesting that, you know, providing decent homes and support for young people in need is not part of a balanced community in some way, and that neighbours wouldn't welcome and support the young people, you know, in this situation. It meets the planning rules, and I hope we agree this application.
Yeah, well, as I say, we can't, whatever the prospective situation may be, that there might be more that will crop up on this. We can only vote on what we've got in front of us at the minute. I have nothing more to comment on other than what I said at the previous application. So I'll be of a mind to support it. Anybody else got any comments?
Nobody's indicating.
Thank you, Tracy. So I need the officer's recommendation is that we approve this application. Do I have a proposal that we approve this application? Councillor Brian Markham is proposing. Anybody seconding? Councillor Golby is seconding. Now, I will say this again, Teresa, for this benefit. I shall, although you can't see me, which is a benefit, I suppose, I shall be voting for it. Okay, so I'm a vote for it. So all those in favour that we accept the officer's recommendation, please.
Chair, should be 6, including you, because there's no Councillor Lane. So 6.
Yeah, what's that? Where's Councillor Lane gone?
Councillor Lane is now in the waiting room. I think he might be having connection issues.
He's not the only one. Okay, so that's approved unanimously for 6. Okay. 6-4.
I've just readmitted Councillor Lane.
Thank you. Right, at this point, at this juncture, Councillor Botwood, I think, because we're now
I'll
going
just
on
say
to-
goodnight and disappear.
And thank you very much for your attendance and your input. So we'll
Thanks,
see you soon. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Alan.
take
Thank
care,
you very
everybody.
much. Thank you. Right, so now I believe we have 5. Do we have 6 members discussing items 12A and 12B?
That's correct, Chair.
6. We have 6, do we? 6 members present. Yeah.
Yes, Chair. Yes, 6 members.
Okay. Right. Well, this is on item 12A, which is a Northampton Partnership Homes application. It's the development and land at Tom's Close. It's the removal of condition 7 of a planning permission given in 2017, and it's about is a bus shelter. I believe on this one, this is yours, Nikki. I believe. Am I right?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you, Chair.
Would you like to present the report, please?
Okay. Okay, this is the application site here. Members may recall some time ago carrying out a site visit for this site. It's a residential development of 21 affordable housing units. As part of the approval for that application, there was a highways requirement to provide a bus shelter, southbound bus shelter on Watering Lane, just approximately kind of about there. That shows you the aerial view of the site, and the development as approved. And then you could just hopefully see in the distance, that's the existing bus shelter. So the intention was another bus shelter would go on the opposite side. The details were submitted to discharge that planning condition, and the Highway Authority has subsequently advised that the bus shelter is no longer required. Collingtree lost its regular bus service in 2018 when bus subsidies ended, and the only service serving the village now is by a commercial company with one return service on a Thursday for shoppers. So in view of Highway Authority advice and that there's no longer a bus service to support the provision of the bus shelter, officer recommendation is that the committee, sorry, not the committee is removed, the condition is removed.
Yeah, don't jump the gun.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, we have one speaker on this. Jonathan, Mr. Evans, are you with us?
Mr. Evans hasn't joined the meeting.
Oh, right. So we've got no speakers on this. So it's any questions directly to Nikki committee. Anybody got any questions to ask of Nikki on this?
Councillor
No?
Golby is indicating chair.
I'm happy to accept the officer's recommendation, Chair. I move that.
You're making that a proposition. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Birch, Jane, yeah. And I saw that somewhere. I just saw Jane first. So all those in favour that we accept the officer's recommendation on item 12A, please. And I'm voting for it as well.
6, Chair.
That's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Right, we now come on to the last lap, which is item 12B, which is a 20 Hardy Drive, a single-storey rear and side extension together with internal alterations. I believe, Anna, this is your report. Would you present it, please?
Thank you, Chair. The application is for a single-storey rear and side extension. So if I just show you the property. So this is the site here. So this is actually the side, this is the rear, the front faces this way. Just show you again. So this is the front elevation, so you wouldn't actually see the extension from this side. This is the side, so it would come off this part. This is the rear, it comes off the rear on that side. So this is the proposed plan. So this is the side bit I pointed out. Then it comes out the back. And then again, and you can see from these visualizations how it looks. So it's still set away, well away from the neighbours, so there wouldn't be an impact on the neighbouring property. This is the host property. There's no impact on the neighbouring property, and it is subservient to the host property. And then just show you this plan to show that the extension is well away from any neighbouring properties. It's not considered to have an unacceptable impact. It is therefore recommended that the application be approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Anna. Well, with Mr. Evans being absent, we have no speakers on this committee. Has anybody got any questions to ask of Anna on this presentation? No?
No indications, Chair.
Thank you, Ed. Comments, committee? Anybody got any comments on it?
Nobody indicating, Chair.
Councillor Golby.
Propose we accept the recommendations, Chair.
Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kilby-Shaw. Thank you, Sam. All those in favour, and I'm voting for it again. Please, I'm voting in favour.
Yeah, unanimous, Chair. Six members.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's okay. Right, committee, that concludes tonight's meeting. I'm sorry I've had gremlins. I still have to look into it, but at least it's been a bit of a consolation. You haven't been able to see me. But so thanks for everybody that's been in attendance, members and officers. Thank you all very much. And not let's forget the speakers, they played their part. So I appreciate your attendance and thank you very much. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon, and please all stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Thank
you, Chair.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.